But anyways, I think it's time to jump into game number 1 over here. Time is up. So, yet again, I'll introduce everything to potential YouTube audience. So, hi YouTube, in case you're watching it over here. Welcome everybody, this is gonna be a series in between BacT and Lix. The winner gets into the Hidden Cup free main event hosted by T90. Large prize pool, a lot of top level players, but I think if you are here watching this series, you probably know what Hidden Cup is all about, so I'm not gonna waste any more time on this introduction. We can go into the first game, and we'll have Arabia, as we will have BacT, who has just married. His marriage weekend was, I think, this one, or the previous one, so congratulations to BacT for marrying here. That is also a very, very good thing for him to have. As you can see, he also has it in his name as well. Left side is going to be BacT in blue, and right side is going to be Lix in red. And like I said, the first weird thing I want to point out is that, to the best of my knowledge, the bans that they actually make on the civilizations are global civilization bans. However, despite the fact that Lix has banned out Khmer, he's just gonna pick it over here, so I'm not sure what they agreed on this one. Maybe they did contact an admin, and after that they just said it's fine. We will see. But regardless of that, Lix wide open from the left over here with the gold super exposed. Okay, my zoom works, that's fine. And the other gold is also quite exposed, which makes me dislike this map quite a bit here for our Chinese player. He has a back gold to work with, which is very, very nice for him. Stone is not really necessary for Khmer early on, so having this stone here and here doesn't really matter that much, to be honest. But this gold here is very, very important for him. He's gonna spot that as well, and he's gonna go for the first dealer here. So the thing is, with Khmer, you will probably open up scouts here, especially considering that Lix is pushing in the deal early on. We will soon have a confirmation on that, depending on how many villagers we do see on the wood lines. But I guess he's gonna wall himself off here on the right side, and probably over here, go for a Brax, probably just defend it in between the wood line and the TC. But protecting his base overall is gonna be a bit of a challenge. Probably will need to surrender this and this gold pile early on, and we'll just have to focus on this one at the beginning of the game. And after that, probably TC this one in later stages. One thing I want to point out is that he focuses on pushing in there, but this is a risky call considering that he's missing out 2 sheep. And if he delays those sheep too much, then there is a chance that BacT will be able to find those sheep and just steal them, because stealing sheep is allowed in this tournament. On the other side, BacT playing with Franks, it's kind of obvious that we are gonna see a scouts opening here. Not a frequent sight in Hidden Cup free qualifiers at all. In fact, most of the Hidden Cup free qualifiers are either involving Mayans on Arabia or Celts, other civilizations with decent rush-fast castle into crossbows play, but usually we are seeing archer civilizations, so it's actually a surprising move that both players went for cavalry civilization. Looking at BacT's map, it's a bit more wallable, I would say. Wall here, wall here. You will probably have your Braxton stable here in the front line, so this is definitely wallable for you as well. Wall off over here. I think the best wall is here, but you might just surrender that gold if you can protect this one. So if you wall here, here, and here, you will be fine using this gold as part of your wall, and that makes it a bit easier for you. So anyways, Lix is gonna find his boars to work with, and since we are having free on wood for himself, same is gonna be the case for BacT. We will see scouts wars over here. Like I said, the volatility of BacT's map makes me a bit more convinced to his side. Also, he's gonna be Franks, so he's gonna have the early advantage in scouts wars. Lix will have to play exceptionally well, micro his scouts well, and use the spearmen very well in order to turn this around, because field age advantage will definitely be on the side of the Franks here. Meanwhile, BacT, looking out for this gold mine, he does see his opponent's wood line, and he will probably soon find out that Lix is quite open from the left, and that is a perfect scenario for Franks. I do assume that Lix will have to do some very aggressive walling. Other option is that he will have to do a lot of spearmen, and probably just protect his key resources like the berries, the wood line, with a few spearmen. Anyways, a click up coming up at 19 villagers, so Lix is gonna be able to pull off a 20 pop up here, and same is gonna be the case for BacT. In fact, BacT is gonna click up at 18 villagers, going 19 pop scouts. That's a very aggressive move here from the Franks. I wonder if he's gonna have the food for it, but I think he does. In this case, this is a very, very well executed early Dark Age here from BacT. Click up at 19 villagers. That is gonna be super early scouts. Meanwhile, for Lix, it's a bit more conventional playstyle. He doesn't have Loom just yet, but it's hitting right now, so BacT will not be able to snipe down that Voyager. Walling on the right side will start to happen, but left side is wide open right now for Lix. He will soon need a Brax, but you can still wait for it a tiny bit. You probably want your Brax at something like 50% with one Voyager here on the front line. So the main issue for Lix is going to be resource control. Gold might not be an issue, but well, wood is going to be problematic in the long run as well, so I do assume that he will have to drop 1 TC on the gold in Castle Age and probably a second TC over here on this wood. Nothing else is really satisfactory for him, to be honest. Luckily for him at least, if he is able to expand towards this direction to the north, he can secure his neutral gold fairly easily. That's something to point out. And now, Lix is going to be able to find his opponent, sees the berry, sees the gold. He does not see the primary gold, which is going to be a bit of an issue for him. I think he's going to be able to find it soon. But seeing that primary gold is going to be a critical piece of information that is right now missing for Lix. Because Lix, looking at this map, he's going to say, okay, BacT will probably take this gold in the future. But in reality, BacT will probably focus on this gold instead of this one. So missing out on that primary gold is actually a big issue here for Lix. And it could completely change his plans if he sees this primary gold. Meanwhile, on the other side, I think BacT is trying to snap down maybe a weak villager. Nope, these are full HP villagers, so I'm actually surprised he's actually doing that. But both players going up with the stables here, as the first shot will be landed there from Lix. Still, this is a Frankish scout, so taking direct engagement with the normal scout against that is not an option. And somewhat similar to what I actually expected here from Lix, he's gonna have the right side walled off and the left side will be just protected by Spearman, even though we are not seeing a Brax coming up over here. So this is something I want to talk about here. With Khmer, you can pull off a Scout's play without a Brax. However, this is extremely risky, especially in Scouts Wars. So the problem is that you will have to fight Scouts versus Scouts, which you cannot win against Franks. So you will need something that decides engagement, and that should be a Spearman. Meanwhile, on the left side, we already have BacT with a Brax, and he will be able to pop out Spearman to decide engagements for his side. So, honestly, Lix might be able to protect his base with his scouts here, but once the Spearman arrives from BacT, that is going to be a horrible situation. Numerous times we have seen basically what I call this a naked scouts play from Khmer, in which you don't do a Brax, you just do a single stable. But like I said, once the Spearman arrives, this is gonna be an awful scenario for the Khmer player, because he has nothing to fight against that Spearman with. He's using Voyagers to do that, but that is already a bad situation for him, and this you can see. He loses that fight immediately thanks to the Spearman, because Spearman decides scouts fights, and apparently BacT might even be able to pick off a Voyager over here. BacT is on fire, and I do expect him to qualify for the main event, so did not talk about my predictions, but I definitely think that BacT is the better player out of the two. Lix is a good one, but BacT is an exceptional player. He already has 4 scouts over here. He also has the Frankish scouts over here, which are overall better than the ones from Khmer. And as long as Lix doesn't have any Spearman over here, this is gonna be a horrible scenario for him. One thing I completely forgot though is that Khmer can hop into houses, so Lix will be able to protect his Voyagers. The problem is that these guys are idle. So right now, BacT is fully walled, even though this is probably the least efficient wall that he could have done. Just wall it here and here, it's much easier. Oh, he doesn't see this forest, even though he sees the bottom of it, so that could have been more efficient for BacT. But anyways, BacT might get trapped over here thanks to this Voyager, but I think he's more than happy to get trapped over here. He can harass the berry Voyagers as he's falling down on them right now. Lix looping around with his own scouts to try and pick off some Voyagers, but that will not happen, losing one of his own here in this base. And by the time he arrives, BacT is going to be fully walled. Even if BacT wasn't fully walled, he would probably have defensive Spearman to fight against this one. And as long as you do not have defensive Spearman for BacT or for Lix, they cannot win fights in Feudal Age. Gates also have been nerfed compared to Warlord Kingdoms, and that means that their HP and Pierce Armor... Well, HP is okay, but their armor is much weaker than it used to be until they are not finished. So these scouts can actually start batching it down. The lady is slowly taking damage here, not sure what happened. But finally BacT is able to kill that Voyager, the gate is gonna go down, and Lix will be forced to fall back, still no defensive Spearman. If you take a look at the population counts, this is getting worse and worse for Lix right now. 32 Voyagers for BacT, 30 only for Lix, and this gate will probably go down as well. You cannot save up on the barracks and the spearmen in such a scenario. I don't even know how Lix imagined this one, to be honest. Like, the only way this works is if you can actually avoid direct engagements, have yourself fully walled, and you can just initiate engagements close to the opponent's base with hit-and-run tactics and make sure that you do not encounter spearmen ever. But once you even see one spearman from your opponent, you have no chance of winning that engagement, and when your base is so open like this, you can't just go for like a naked scouts play here without any spearmen. Sure, it is gonna be a cleanup here from Lix at some time, even though he's losing most of his scouts in the process. Did manage to kill the spearman, but at what price? So, at this point, he's 3 villagers behind, which is a big deficit. He also had a lot of idle time. There are still 2 Frankish scouts in his eco that can just continue to harass the villagers. And BacT is in a perfect position to click up to Castle Age. Indeed, he does that right now. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lix, not even close to click up to Castle Age. He's missing out gold. He didn't even start mining gold right now because he didn't have the control over the back of his base to start mining that gold. And that final scout will pick off one more villager. Perfect value there from BacT. And somewhat of a head-scratching play from Lix. Like I said, the only way pure scouts play works here with Khmer is if he can actually make sure his base is protected with walls. But once he has to fight the scouts of his opponent directly, there is no way that he can pull that off without spearmen. And since his base is wide open, he was forced to fight directly against scouts over here. Multiple spearmen coming in here from BacT with a second stable already up, so knights will be the primary units here, of course, from BacT, probably the forward siege workshop. He knows he's ahead, so he could do 2 things: either boom and just increase his lead in economy, or just finish it off fairly early, or at least try to do so. With a forward villager with a siege workshop, start mangoing down this town center. You do know, if you're BacT, that your opponent has fairly bad resources. You see this gold, you know that your opponent has very limited gold access, and sure, Lix is gonna click up to Castle Age, but he's gonna be like a solid 2 minutes behind, and we already have forging coming in here from BacT. That is gonna make those spearmen a bit sturdier as well, but it's somewhat of a surprising move that BacT is not focusing on something like chain barding instead. But anyways, forward siege workshop coming in over here. Lix is not in a position to stop that at all, and the knights will soon arrive. So I guess for Lix it has to be Monk's defense very soon, because otherwise it is just very unlikely that this would work out well for him against the knights. Still, he has to do something against those mangonels as well. And for this reason, I'm gonna open up the tech trees, because I have no idea if Khmer have redemption. Khmer might actually have redemption in this one. Let's see. Khmer... And indeed, Khmer have redemption. In this case, redemption monks could be an idea, because it can protect you both against the knights and the mangonels, but this would be a very hard fight, regardless, for Lix to make. Lix is looping around with a few more scouts, but yet again, we'll find basically nothing. BacT will have all of his key resources TC'd, so second TC is up already on the gold. And with that, the first mangonel does arrive. +1 attack right now for BacT, no armor, as he's just gonna focus on trying to bash down those walls and let the knights go in. Indeed, there's a double monasteries coming in here for what would probably be a bunch of monks, but with the mangonel out, this is a perfect timing yet again for BacT. He knows exactly that knights alone will probably not be able to bash their ways through very fast because vultures with second layer, but guess what? Mangonels can decide that with just killing that villager or delaying it from constructing that second layer. Anyways, you got a bunch of villagers walled around here for Lix. He will not be able to add additional villagers to this gold pile, but still his wood line has to be evacuated. A lot of idle time is being forced on his base. He will probably have to fight this one with monks, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a few scouts being added yet again by BacT. It would make a lot of sense, because if you think about this, Lix right now doesn't have spearmen. Scouts can snipe down monks very fast, so really a few scouts could decide the engagement over here, as apparently BacT is focusing on taking down that palisade wall. First and second monk coming up right now. This is a risky fight for BacT to take. Will he lose one knight to conversion, a second knight to conversion? Bit of a wasteful move over there from Lix overall, or from BacT. But like I said, a few light cavalry could really decide engagements over here. Apparently we'll have a forward siege, not just a forward siege workshop, but a monk as well to convert the knights back that were converted previously. And Lix's defense over here is quite decent, so the attacks of BacT has kind of stalled out. We'll take down one house and he's gonna start pressuring that TC. One thing that BacT needs to watch out for is not to allow Lix to escape the right side, Lix does not see that gold on the right, and his wood line is kind of horrible. There is gonna be a monk. Oh boy, there is one monk going down. I think one conversion might actually happen over here for Lix. No conversion happening, and with the villagers getting harassed on the gold mine, no more monks. Actually, there is one conversion. That just happened in the final second. But regardless of that, idle time is the name of the game here for Lix. Sure, he has those villagers safe, but he's already behind by 16 villagers, and he has a bunch of villagers idled as well. This monk might not be able to survive, indeed, that is gonna be the case. So, BacT is doing a lot of pressure right now on the base of Lix. Like I said, just a few light cavalry would be able to solve this monk issue, but even without that, this is already big damage that is done by BacT. He's gonna start adding villagers to stone, and normally you do that because you want to get a map control type of a castle up, but in this scenario, especially with Franks that have a cheaper castle, this will probably be a forward castle right next to the gold mine. If he wants to be very aggressive, he's gonna drop it somewhere around over here. If he wants to be a bit more passive, just get some map control, he'll use the hill for that and lock down this gold mine still. But regardless of that, as there is redemption indeed coming in here for Lix to try to get the conversions on the mangonels. Still, even if you convert the mangonels, there is gonna be light cavalry coming in. This is a bit tricky. There is no spearman enough here from BacT to kill those, so he might lose a few monks into this one. There goes one monk, but the rest of the scouts will get cleaned up without killing additional monks. And apparently, no conversion on this knight, as with Lix losing those two monks to the knights, he's just gonna call the GG. A quick strike from BacT, overall dominating this game, and I think this is just one bad decision from Lix. He had an okay execution, I would say, but the idea to just go for naked, or not just naked, but pure scouts play against Franks with such an open map is not something that you can actually pull off, because like I said, once Franks arrive to your base and start pressuring your eco, you will be forced to fight. Anyways, we will go into game number 2 over here. So let's add a score to BacT, and we will go to the first home map of Lix, which is going to be cross Berbers versus Japanese, a very interesting combination of civilizations. So I welcome you to game number 2 in a best of 7 in between Lix and BacT in the Hidden Cup 3 qualifiers. And one thing I want to point out before we actually get in deeper into the civilization selection mind games. There's a lot of hybrid maps, so I'm not surprised if we are not seeing Persians over here. Like there is still Bay available, there is gonna be High Tide available, so a lot of maps where Persians could be utilized. And we still have some okay-ish hybrid map civilizations here. Lix in the north playing in Japanese in red, and on the south it's gonna be BacT in blue playing as Berbers. So the tricky thing is that for Japanese, they do have very good fishing ships, so it's somewhat understandable. Berbers is a bit more head-scratching overall for me, but I can see why this could be a fairly decent selection here for BacT overall. First, their villagers are slightly faster. Having slightly faster villagers means that you probably have a better chance of snaking a villager up to your opponent. You get to the other lake very fast, that gives you a slight advantage. Other things, you also have cheaper stable units, so you can have a decent land combat against Japanese over here. Camel Archer is also an option over here, so I would say this is an okay-ish composition that the Berbers can field over here. Still not a conventional way of playing this map, and not the conventional civilization, but it's a fair decent decision from BacT as well. Anyways, I like how he's actually fitting in one villager in between the wood line and the lumber camp. This makes this villager super efficient. It's not really an issue if this wood line gets attacked later on either, because by the time any kind of attack arrives, he's gonna be able to chop himself out, so don't have to delete this lumber camp over here. Meanwhile, for BacT, yeah, Berbers on Gold Rush, OP Freemint Wolf Rush. That is not the case for Hidden Cup 3 Gold Rush. Hidden Cup 3 Gold Rush has less wolves, so you can do Wolf Rush. Anyways, a lot of villagers already on wood from Lix, somewhat less from BacT. Oh, he already has 4. Like, last time I checked he had like 2, and he's gonna lure in his boar first instead of sending out the villager to dog. That's a bit of a surprise to me, but this villager is probably gonna drop a house over here first to wall it off here for BacT, and then it is gonna be... Nope. Interesting housing decision here from BacT. Maybe he wants to wall it off here and here, that also works. But interesting decision that he's dropping it over here. So anyways, this Voyager will probably drop the dock, as you can see, already has this waypoint queued up, and will drop the dock. Not the fanciest of all docks. I would say it being placed over here probably is better, because then you're close to 3 deep fish. Here, you're just close to 2. So I would say that this would have been a better position here for BacT's dock a tiny bit. But anyways, you got the Voyager rolled around. That's smart preemptive thinking there from BacT. And apparently he does have a sheep walking around. I'm not sure if this sheep is actually stolen from Lix or what happened here. But he might have stolen some sheep here from Lix. Because this little sheep is just so far away from his base that it would be just weird if this was BacT's starting sheep. But anyways, it also feels that Lix has less sheep. He only has 2 remaining over here, as apparently BacT tries to do some damage here to Voyager, but this is just not gonna work. I don't know why he actually tried that. Takes a lot of damage on his scout now, and Lix is gonna be able to win a scout fight if there is gonna be any arriving. Anyways, there's already 2 fishing ships up for Lix. BacT just playing with 1. This is Lix's home map, so I do believe that Lix has a very good plan of how to play this one. Meanwhile, for BacT, I feel like that dock was a tiny bit delayed compared to the one of his opponent, but we'll see. Meanwhile, for Lix, he's gonna wall off this side of his base. I actually like this walls quite a bit, because with this, you can actually make sure that your opponent cannot sneak a dock up on you, and you will probably just wall either over here, or you will just leave this one, like this place open, and wall in between the woodland, TC, and over here as well. Securing the left side is a bit trickier, I would say, for Lix, but his gold is quite okay, so I guess priority is this wall over here, and indeed he's gonna do a fairly long wall. I'm not a big fan of this wall, to be honest, but I guess it works. It's a big investment, though, from Lix. He's gonna have a lot of food at the back, though. Huntable is also accessible. He will have a safe lake. Meanwhile, what is more surprising is that BacT is actually playing wide open over here. He's gonna click up quite early. 22 eco overall, with just 19 Voyagers and 3 fishing ships. This is a very aggressive play, probably for scouts, I would say, for him. And we already have a forward Voyager coming in. What is the plan? Like I said, Berbers do get Voyager speed bonus, so this lady is gonna walk through the map very fast. And I wonder if BacT wants to get a sneaky dock up. Now, he doesn't see those walls, and judging by the Voyager's position... Ooh... He's laming away stone. This is an interesting idea, but if you take a look at Lix's map, both of his stones are super exposed. If you can lame away the stone and then go for a towering attempt, this might work well. I think this is not gonna be a direct towering with multiple Voyagers, more about the sneaky Voyager trying to get 1 tower up. Judging by BacT's vision, he probably wants to sneak the Voyager all the way around here and drop the tower on the back of the woodline, but that will not really work well. Not even laming a lot on those stone, but that is just gonna be a bit of annoyance later for Lix. Anyways, Scout now able to move in, and a big mistake from Lix, sending out a weak Voyager to wall. That is a horrible mistake, and BacT is gonna take some damage on his Scout, but trading it off for a Voyager is an exceptionally good move from him. Even if that was a full HP Voyager, that could have been risky for Lix, because this is now a Fuel Age Scout, and Fuel Age Scout can deal more damage to Voyagers than a Dark Age one, but having a weak Voyager out there is a horrible mistake for Lix over there. Anyways, Lix is gonna send his own scout in to clean up the one from BacT. That will not be a major issue, and this is a bad tower from BacT. This is a very bad tower. First of all, it will be spotted by Lix, so he could just react to that instantly. Second, even if he doesn't react instantly, he deletes this part of the power side wall, sends 1 Voyager in, and this Voyager is just gonna bash it down from the inside without having any chance of preventing that. So that is not the tower you want as BacT. He's gonna delete that instantly, losing just 12 stone in the process. But I wonder if he wants to tower the gold here. That could be an idea. Still, like I said, BacT is in not a position to actually go for this fight. The second scout is arriving, so the scout play is really working for BacT. He just wants to play this like standard scouts and spearmen, probably alongside a sneaky tower. And I'm starting to think that this tower is not actually meant to deny the resources, just simply to get through walls. That is gonna be the plan. Sometimes you make towers to deny resources, like wood lines, gold, whatever. But in this case, I would assume that BacT just wants a tower over here to make sure that Lix is not able to reinforce this wall, and that could be a beautiful one. If you place this tower over here, for example, it cuts off Lix from this gold, And also, there is no chance Lix is gonna be able to second layer this wall over here. And by the time Lix realizes what's going on, he's gonna be late with his defensive tower. So for BacT, he needs one tower over here and then use the scouts to bash their way in. Anyways, apparently Lix is gonna have one of his villagers exposed. I'm fairly certain this villager was meant to dock over here. In fact, this villager is gonna be successful docking, so BacT's fish is gonna be super exposed over here. He already has one fire galley up, but apparently was late going gold. That is the drawback of the pure scouts play that you're doing. That you are late going into gold, and that means that you will not have enough gold for fire galley. But I think BacT is gonna be able to protect his fishing ships over here with the fire galleys. He has 2 docks versus 1, so he should be cleaning this up, and he already has 2 villagers lead in land. However, in water, that is actually completely different. Lix 38 to 34 is the eco count. So, oh, there is a demo. This could be beautiful. This demo, if he sinks 3 fishing ships, that is gonna be perfect. Nice splits over there from BacT to save the fishing ships. But when you know that you're gonna lose water, you probably want to just sink a bunch of fishing ships, and that was still fairly well done. Meanwhile, BacT apparently wants to dock this lake at some time, and probably the time has come for that. And apparently just sticks with the outpost here, wants to make sure that Lix does not escape his own base. That is gonna be the key here. Just make sure that Lix will always be inside his base. Meanwhile, BacT will probably clean this dock up, and this is interesting. So BacT does have a decent land army. I think he still has a bunch of scouts running around, but he's not doing any damage here to Lix. And also, BacT does have vision on this stone pile, but he did not expect Lix to take the other one. So some weird decisions coming up here from BacT, and Lix is gonna be faster into Castle Age by far, because he basically did not invest into any kind of land military, and also had a great fishing geek at the back of his base. Lix will probably need to expand, and he will do so on the right-hand side lake. That's a decent decision as well. BacT not contesting that one right now, and BacT is also wide open from the right side, so that could cause problems for him. He definitely sees he's open, he just doesn't care because he thinks he has map control. Now that the spearmen are here from Lix, BacT is unable to do any kind of damage, maybe if he out-micros that spearman, and I wonder if these scouts are actually going for the other lake. They might. Indeed, these guys are apparently going for the other lake, anticipating a villager to sneak out and get a dock up. Since BacT has vision on this side of Lix's base, the only way a villager can escape is through here. So, this is not a horrible idea. You want to make sure that your opponent does not have a chance to sneak one villager out. And indeed, there is going to be the sneaky villager. He's going to find him, but the dock is going to go up thanks to the quick calls around for Lix. So, at this point, this villager will be trapped probably, or just gonna die to the scouts here. That's a bad decision from Lix. He got bait there so hard. That was a big bait from BacT. He was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna fall back. And then Lix was like, oh yeah, I can escape. But nope, this will not happen. This villager will probably be trapped here for quite a significant amount of time. So that's still okay. And meanwhile though, there is gonna be the revenge coming in from Lix. He's gonna be able to pick up one villager from BacT. And with that, we have 41 to 40 villager counts, but a big lead going into Castle Age for Lix. Lix is already in Castle Age, actually. We'll have a TC on the wood, that's actually a quite decent one, even though could have been better on this wood line, maybe. Still, it's gonna protect the stone miners as well, so I don't blame Lix for it. It's a decent-ish TC. Other TC is also gonna go on the wood here. Meanwhile, Lix already sending out knights, trying to pick off some villagers, potentially even do damage to the base of his opponent. And for BacT, he's gonna have better knights, or at least more so doing it cheaper knights, because they will not be better, but damn, it will be they will be cheaper. Anyways, sneaky dog coming up here from Lix, and that means that he could clean up this single fishing ship here from BacT. BacT does see the dock coming up. This is a very well positioned house, I gotta say. So, if you position a house like this, you can see this crossing, and that means that BacT probably knows that if a villager is passing over here, even if Lix hides this dock over here in the corner, BacT probably spots the villager passing through over here. So it's a very good idea to come up from BacT. He has very good anticipation of the game, apparently. But We get fire ships from Lix, so he does invest into the War Galley upgrade, meaning that he is gonna be able to win war on the right-hand side lake and the left-hand side lake very easily here as well. And with no War Galley coming in here from BacT, that means that he's gonna lose war very fast. You already have 3 town centers working for Lix, and he has 8 villagers lead. Meanwhile, I did see a lot of villagers on stone from BacT, and that makes me believe that we will have a castle. Indeed, there is the castle, super defensive castle, goes for straight up camel archers, and that's 1 town center. However, Lix already has a big villager lead. In fact, it's 10 villagers. But BacT, with Berbers, he can mix in some camels, and camels can be a great answer to the knights that are about to come from Lix here. Still, if Lix starts to mix in a few skirmishers, that could really start helping out things. I like how Lix is bashing down these outposts. And with that, no vision for BacT will be available on his gold. Meanwhile, first archer range coming in. Indeed, he probably does expect camel archers to arrive at some time, or he's gonna start mixing some crossbows. That's the other idea, but I do assume he expects Berbers to switch into camel archers. Meanwhile, his aggression on the southern lake is cleaned up, so right now BacT has 1 lake control. Meanwhile, Lix is gonna have a solid control over 3 lakes, and that is gonna be a big fish boom for Japanese over here. You have this whole map for a reason, and with that, Lix will have an insanely good fish boom. I think he's gonna be able to pick up the Imperial in like 3 or 4 minutes if he sustains a level of food eco like this. He will need to start replacing these deep fish with some fish traps very soon close to the docks. He could still take the shore fish to buy himself some time before doing so, but apparently BacT is gonna pop out the fire galleys here on the left side. I think he managed to sink 1 fishing ship or so, but still, as long as he's using fire galleys against fire ships over here, this will not work very well for him. And we will probably have a water control here on the left side still for Lix. Meanwhile, the castle is up and the camel archers will soon arrive, but they are basically without upgrades. In fact, they're not just basically without upgrades, they are completely without upgrades. Not even fletching coming up for BacT. He does have a blacksmith, and he also has a lot more camel archers, but without fletching or botcar or, like, for example, ballistics, these guys will not be exceptionally good, especially with a monk already out there from Lix. Monks are actually a quite decent unit against the camel archers, even though they're not as good as they would be against, like, let's say, conquistadors. But monks can be a decent answer, but I think once seeing the camel archers, indeed the real answer from Lix is probably gonna be a knights and skirms type of an approach to come up. Third town center coming up from BacT, but the main difference right now in between the 2 players is the villager counts. The 20 villagers advantage for Lix is a huge one, and with University coming up, he will be probably going for ballistics, and with a second range, it's going to be a very heavy emphasis on elite skirmishers. We'll start adding fishing ships here on the left-hand side lake as well, and I do see a 4th town center also out on the gold, so Lix is playing this map exceptionally well. Apparently, he's going to lose a spearman though to this town center, only to find that it is there. And with both players being walled, this will probably be a race into Imperial. And for Japanese, I do assume they will continue with Knights and Elite Skirms. That could be a decent idea, but BacT has different plans. BacT will use his map control and make a forward castle over here. The counter castle will happen for Lix, but he sacrifices the monastery for that. This is a very interesting approach. Now, if Lix makes a stone wall over here, the entry will not be an option for BacT. Right now, if he breaks through this wall over here, he can run inside with the camel archers. For now, these are elite skirms, but no botcar arrow, and I think both castles will probably have the chance to go up. Like I said, Lix had to sacrifice a monastery for it, and I don't understand this tower at all, because it makes 0 sense when you have a town center or a tower center right next to it. Maybe because this castle can actually reach this town center, and Lix is afraid that his wood line over here would be exposed to raids once this TC goes down. But it's gonna be castle fights, and this is the moment when we are gonna talk about racing the Imperial. But guess what? If you take a look at BacT's resources, he's not even close to pick up the Imperial, and Lix, he is on his way to Imp. Like I said, when you have this big eco lead, which is essentially 40 eco, you can actually get to Imperial super fast, and this will probably mean that Lix will be the first one popping out traps. He can start picking off this castle here. I think BacT has to do damage right now, manages to pick up 1 villager on the stone mine, and remember that at the beginning of the game, BacT has placed this side wall and the house over here, so he probably had this plan for quite a significant amount of time, that he wants to castle drop his opponent here. because he definitely tried to just make Lix unable to get any kind of stone for himself for a counter castle. But still, with Lix soon researching BacT and run ballistics, his skirms will probably be enough to push away those camel archers. Now, seeing the skirm heavy approach from Lix, I do assume that BacT will start mixing in his knights, or he's gonna go for mangonels. That also works. Conversions might actually happen here, but apparently Lix is able to save all of his knights. And yeah, this is not a fight that BacT can take, especially if Lix is able to snap down some monks here. That would be a beautiful pick-off. Apparently one monk goes down, second monk goes down. Lix is gonna lose a bunch of villagers here, but he still has 30 villagers lead right now. I feel like it's a bit greedy that he wants to go out on this stone. BacT knows exactly when he's going on that stone. That's very important because he has a house right next to it. However, in terms of cost efficiency, Lix is having a major lead in this engagement, just picking off a lot of those expensive camel archers, which is very fairly cheap. Skirmishers, let's see the micro here from Lix. This is going to be crucial. One good shot from BacT could really help him out in this scenario, but apparently the micro from Lix is exceptionally good. Able to push away the mangonel, able to push away the camel archers. Right now Lix still has 3 lakes under his control, and with a confident 25 villagers lead, we will reach Imperial. Apparently BacT did not pay attention to this villager. The TC here is gonna go down. This means that these villagers are kind of stranded around here, so no place to escape to right now for Lix. He might lose those. But anyways, he's up to Imperial, so Trebuchet will have to pop out here. It is going to be popped out at the back, very nicely done by Lix. He's going to be utilizing the extra heal bonus against this castle over here. And meanwhile, another castle comes up from BacT here, right next to the forward base of Lix. Apparently Lix did attempt to go for a forward base. This is an interesting one. Multiple battering rams stockpiled here from Lix, but it's right next to the castle of BacT. Now BacT can probably bash it down with villagers, but still, it's risky to place your castle right next to siege workshop, especially once these rams pop out. But I think number one priority for Lix is take down this castle. Apparently BacT is gonna completely give up on that, and at this point Lix can just bash down this battering ram with the villagers if he really wants to. Second trap is up as well, and skirmishers and traps might be enough here for Lix. In fact, skirmisher and halberdier feels like a composition that Berbers would struggle countering in this scenario, so I would say that Lix needs to start adding pikemen preemptively, but apparently he's focusing on stone quite a bit, so probably wants a castle in the face of his opponent. I would assume he's gonna drop a castle somewhere around over here on this hill and start shoving this castle down. That would be a reasonable thing to do. And with the barracks coming up, indeed, he's gonna start mixing some pikes. BacT on the way to Imperial. Janitors versus skirms, nope. Janitors are nothing special compared to skirms, so I don't think that would be something that really helps. Anyways, BacT's mobility with his army definitely helps when he needs to pick off a few villagers here on the left side, so he somewhat decreases that deficit, but he's still like 25 villagers behind. Skirmishers running right beneath the castle to pick off the villagers that are trying to take down the rams, and indeed, villagers will need to run away. This castle is in the flames already, and that is just gonna be worse and worse right now for BacT. He's gonna start mixing in some knights, which is the appropriate reaction to the skirmishers, but like I said, if Lix has some preemptive thinking, he's gonna start adding pikes very early, and with that, he's gonna be able to fight against those knights. Pike and skirm is not really something that the Berbers are able to counter, at least not when you are this much behind into Imperial Age, and not when this much behind you are in Eco. Anyways, that was a beautiful shot at the Mangonel, so the Mangonel can definitely help things out here for BacT. But still, he's losing a lot of villagers. DC goes down, and it is gonna be a snowball effect now very soon. Bunch of those camel archers moving in to intercept the villagers on the stone, but yet again, the cost efficiency will be heavily on the side of Lix. And when you have the better eco, and when you have the cost efficiency as well, that means that your opponent will not really have a chance against you. You are taking much more favorable engagements, and you also have the better economy. That means that you will be able to outmuscle your opponent with units. Now, it's a bit of a wasteful move here from Lix to go for the push with the rams against that many mangonels, because mangonels will finish off those rams very fast. Maybe they can take this TC down before that actually happens. Apparently they will. That was actually very important, and I'm not sure which was the imp TC from BacT. I completely missed out on this one. Was this the imp TC from BacT? if this was the MTC from BacT, it was literally the final second of getting into Imperial before he actually lost that town center. Maybe he was doing it on this town center, but I'm not sure. That was super close for BacT, whatever happened. Light cavalry in the party here for Lix to snipe down some of those mangonels. Still, low amounts of light cavalry with very little upgrades will struggle against that many camel archers, so that will not work in the long run. But more map control for Lix right now, has a steady economy lead, even though the kill death ratio is actually quite poor, 48 to just 101. So apparently KD is on the side of BacT over here. Now this is a bit of a waste from Lix if he loses that trap. Completely undefended, a bit too greedy moving in with the skirms instead of just trying to protect that trap. Now it's gonna be multiple skirms coming in over here. Arblasts are also in the party. That is a beautiful shot from Lix though to finish off a few of those skirmishers. But regardless, once this TC gets trapped down, it is gonna be very hard for BacT to get some gold for himself as well. Because right now, this gold pile is super exposed. Military numbers heavily favoring Lix in this one. 64 to 30 is the military count. And like I said, you have a forward base right in your face. Light cavalry, Arblasts are popping out. No chance for BacT to really hurt the eco of Lix over here. And meanwhile, Lix is just smashing the economy of BacT now. Killing villagers left and right. I'm not even sure if BacT has gold miners left. Apparently he does not. 0 gold miners in the party, and that means that he's gonna have to start moving into trash units. He does have a bunch of cavaliers, but upgrades are lacking. Now he has +4. But without gold, he will not be able to fight this one with cavaliers. And like I said, Japanese have exceptionally good pikemen. So once the halberdier upgrade arrives from Lix, he's gonna be able to fight those Berbers there as well. The castle here is gonna go down, so lower and lower chances of popping out additional camel archers means that BacT will have to switch to cavalry, and Lix knows that very well. That is gonna be Kataparuto, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, Kataparuto coming in here from Lix's traps. That means that they will be even stronger than they are right now. Also makes them back up very fast. And with this one, there is gonna be the GG. So GG coming up from BacT, and a nice rebound from Lix, I gotta say. His first game wasn't exceptional, in fact it was quite bad. But this game was very good. You could see that this is his home map. His eco was far better than the one from BacT, and despite the fact that he has taken fairly bad fights in terms of just unit numbers, 76 kills to just 126 deaths, still, his cost efficiency was probably decent when full skirms against those camel archers. Lost a lot of villagers, that's negative on his side, but I gotta say that his eco helped him out quite a bit. Do you know what version the games are played? The games are played on old balance. The entire qualifiers will be played on the old game balance. And that is something. It is on a beta patch that is available to the players and casters, by the way. But they are using the old balance. Anyways, this means that we have a 1-1 standing over here, as I'm gonna go jump into the next series here, as I welcome you to game number 3 in a best of 7 in between BacT and Lix in the Hidden Cup 3 qualifiers. This is the first home map of BacT, one of the best maps he has. He's gonna be playing Mongols in blue on the right side, and Persians is gonna be a civilization here from Lix on the left. So you can see why they did not use Persians on a cross, because there are some more hybrid maps that you want to use Persians on. And in fact, BacT is gonna go for the Mongols here, which is also a very good civilization, and I like this a bit more. If you go for Mongols here, then this means that you will have Persians for High Tide, and meanwhile, for Lix, he will not have Persians for High Tide. So I would say I like BacT's civilization's choices slightly better, and Mongols are very good on this map as well. That's something to point out as well. So because you have this many huntables all the way around the map, you will be very good with Mongols here. No more Mongols for ravines, but we have no ravines game, so neither of the players drafted ravines or slopes. So this is the reason why we are seeing Mongols here. You will not have ravines in this series. Anyways, I do expect that board to be lured in very fast, because you want to utilize that Mongol hunting bonus quite a bit. Like I said, this is before the Mongol hunting nerf. So, two things to point out. Mongols will not have step lancers in this game, and also, very important thing, they still have that 50% hunting bonus compared to the 40% that they have been nerfed to. So Mongols are still very, very good in this map. So I do assume that BacT is gonna go... BacT is gonna go out and get these huntables very soon. Game 5 and Game 7 are set, ravines, slopes and ravines. No, they are not. They are not set. It's always the home map of the players. They have drafted 3 home maps each, and in the best of 7 you need to win 4 games, including Arabia. If you win all 3 of those home maps, then you win. They have 3 home maps. They have 3 home maps. I just checked the draft, but I will double check it for you. Meanwhile, Lix is apparently looking for a villager snipe. This could be a beautiful one. He was looking for a docking villager, but that does not happen. Instead of housing villager is gonna be the one that gets delayed. This could cause chaos here for BacT because he doesn't have a house finished, and he will have to rush up a house at a very bad position. This is a horrible house position. Has some idle time. In fact, that's a lot of idle time on his villagers. This is a horrible start for BacT over here, all because he was delayed by a scout over here, and he still doesn't have his scout back at home. He was looking for a villager snipe at Lix's place. Apparently did not succeed in doing so because there's no kills from either side. But apparently he tried to snipe a villager. Lix already has his dog up though, and with the faster working Persian dogs, that's already a decent advantage that you can have. 2 villagers being sent out to build a dock, but this scout can still delay. Neither of these villagers does have loom, so in theory Lix could delay this dog, but I think he already did a decent amount of damage. BacT will need to focus on those huntables quite early to rebound from this, because otherwise this will not really work for him. He's gonna fall behind in feudal age time, thanks to the fact that you already have 1 fishing ship out for Lix, and he will also have the faster working Persian TC, so you can see that he is having a steady 1 eco lead. Also had some idle time on BacT's wood line. So, I'm somewhat surprised that BacT is utilizing all of his sheep over here. This is a very, very interesting approach, and this means 2 things to me. First, he's gonna go for a galley approach, because once he consumes all of these sheep, there's no way he's gonna start planting farms. If he would go for a food-heavy approach, like let's say scouts, he already probably planted farms, or go for the berries. But as you can see, he's repositioning to wood, so when you go this heavy on your sheep, then you probably just want to go for the galley rush here, and indeed that is gonna be the case. However, BacT completely surrenders all the huntables over here, and in this case I heavily prefer the position of Lix. You just checked, game 4 is always slopes, game 7 is ravines. Never actually heard that. Like, I'm just gonna check out the draft right now, but I swear, both players have 3 home maps. So I literally have the draft in my face. I could even pop it up in between games if you want to. But now we'll have BacT sending out villagers for the hunt. They do not have a mill over here, but that is gonna happen. Still, I think BacT going late on that hunt is just surrendering his option to go for a faster feudal age compared to Persians. And the other thing I'm just noticing, he does have only 1 fishing ship. So his food eco might just be comparable to the one from Lix, and you don't want that. If you're Mongols, you want a great food eco, not a good one. And for this reason I like the position of Lix quite a bit more. So, going back into the draft question, BacT has Bay, High Tide and Gold Rush as his home maps. Lix has Cross, Eldorado, Hideout. Why would you have 3 home maps for the free players or for the players if they're not actually played? Nope, this is not new patch, this is old patch. So, I don't know about this, but they have 3 home maps. Yesterday's series also had 3 home maps. Well, I will ask Robo about that if we finish this series or whatever. Well, we'll soon find out what maps they're using anyways. So, Yep, with the hunt that you have over here, it's actually a good one from BacT, but I feel like you should have sent out those villagers a bit earlier for the hunt, and that gives you a very, very good early boost to your eco, and you're not even forced to take your hunt for your herdables. Meanwhile, for Lix, he's gonna play very, very passive, and the first thing I'm noticing, as we already have BacT cleaning up the fishing eco from Lix here, having a faster feudal age that he has had means that he's gonna be able to pop out fire guys faster, and also no second dock from Lix right now. And I'm not sure what to think about that second dock position. He's surrendering water very easily. He's gonna suicide one demo into a fishing ship. Interesting decision from Lix, kind of neglecting water. In this case, he's just sending out demos so he can sink fishing ships. He knows he can't win water, so he's gonna surrender water to BacT here and start making scouts. Now, BacT is quite open. And normally I would say surrendering water this easy is probably not the right way to do things. However, he can win big with this one, because he will have scouts popping out, and he probably thinks that BacT is gonna go for the hunting here. If he can pick off 2 or 3 villagers on the hunt there, that is more than enough for him. So, like I said, the demos are just meant to sink the fishing ships over here, but I like how BacT is spreading them out, so it's very hard to sink multiple of them with just single demos. And this is not very cost efficient for BacT or for Lix. Right now, BacT has 1 eco lead, but let's see if BacT has any idea that scouts are coming his way. I think he suspects it. He does not see the stable, but I think he knows that, hey, my opponent just gave up on the water, so he probably wants to go for land aggression. What kind of land aggression would you want to go for against Mongols? You want to hit the huntables, and as you can see, BacT is already adding the spearmen, so very good thinking from both sides. BacT realizing that, hey, my opponent has just given up water, so he's gonna go for my huntables. And Lix, he's like, okay, I can't win water, I'm just gonna go for land and kill his hunt. Now, the problem here is that once BacT has ultimate water control, he's gonna start adding fishing ships. And with the fishing ships he has, he's gonna be able to massively outboom Lix in this one, so this is why I don't like this one. Meanwhile, another spearman popping out over here, landing a shot on the scout. Lix apparently attacking the base of BacT in this one. But just 1 spearman out here. So if you can drag away the spearman from the hunt, that could also be something. We did not take a decent look at the players' bases, as apparently Fiery Galley demo coming in here from Lix. He's piling up some forces. He has the Persian docks, which have double the HP, so taking this down is very hard for BacT. And what was the plan here for Lix? Maybe he tried to get inside, but BacT is fully vault, so this will not really happen for him. So at this point, the eco for BacT is much better. He has 4 fishing ships as opposed to 0. And more important, that's a beautiful demo shot though from Lix. He now unpops 2 of those fire galleys, and if he does not lose that villager, this is an exceptionally good fight for him. He will sink 2 fire galleys for basically 0 losses here. He will probably be able to repair his own ships as well. Needs to repair that ship. But very nicely done here from Lix, disengaging from the combat with a weak ship, and now he can go for the food eco. This is exactly what he needed. 1 good demo shot to reclaim water. And like I said, BacT started investing into water. If you can actually sink that water eco again, it's gonna be great. However, BacT had a good head start with the eco. He's gonna be ready to pick up the Castle Age, thanks to the hunt, thanks to the fact that you had extra fishing ships compared to Lix. And meanwhile, Lix, he is further away from clicking up the Castle Age. Also, Lix invested into scouts, so that actually made him have less food available as well. And with this stone mining coming up over here from BacT in large quantities, I do assume it's going to be standard Mangudai play from Lix here. And at this point, or from BacT, Lix probably will go for a focus on war, I would assume. And after that, maybe Commander on Crossbows is gonna be the name of the game. We'll see. I like how BacT is trying to keep his fishing ships alive, but this will not happen anymore. He doesn't have the forces to protect those fishing ships with, and now is the time for Lix to do the damage. BacT does have 1 demo available, so he could land a beautiful shot on all of these fishing ships. And now these guys are cornered. This is the time for the kill here for Lix. He needs to kill those fishing ships. And indeed, he's even utilizing the scouts to make it easier for him. There goes 2 fishing ships, there is going to be a 3rd one. Still Lix with just a single dock, so if BacT, with the Castle Age advantage he has, goes for War Galley upgrade and cleans it up with fire ships, he can reclaim the water control for himself. And with the amount of villagers he has on stone, this is probably going to be a castle, maybe even a forward castle. There is the demos coming in, nice splits there from Lix, and he still needs to split his fire galleys. But like I said, with BacT having this big advantage going into Castle Age, I do like his position at being able to go for the War Galley upgrade very soon. You need to trade off that demo for demo. That was a bad demo there from Lix. Automatically engaged on the single standing fire galley. This means that, oh boy, that is going to be a bit of a harassment coming up on the fishing ships. There goes one. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see the War Galley upgrade. Probably on this dock is going to be the plan. There is the fire demo ship coming in. Oh, that's a beautiful one. Beautiful one from Lix now. And he's going to be able to win war thanks to that. Or at least partially gain control of water, because apparently he still doesn't have ultimate water control, but will be able to equalize things out despite the fact that he was outnumbered in war for some time. Reaching Castle Age is going to be both players, but with a single dock here for Lix, I do assume he does have no intentions to pursue any further water control right now. Instead, we'll just stay back and try to push away BacT from water. Right now, ecos are identical for the two players, and apparently we do have one of those scouts trapped over here. There were some weak villagers, so I do assume Lix maybe sent in his own scouts to clean this up, but, well, this is not gonna happen with all these spearmen around, I gotta say that. Castle coming up over here, I like this castle, even though I would have thought that placing it over here in between the double stones could have been a bit better, but Mangonels are coming up right now. Meanwhile, for Lix, he's gonna start sending up knights without any extra pierce armor. That's a risky call against the Mangonels over here, not even bloodlines, a single stable just for a few knights. This is more about the defense instead of the aggression. And we will have a villager lurking around here. I'm not sure what is the plan. Maybe a town center up on this hill somewhere around the gold pass. That could be an idea. But I like this TC on the gold here. From Lix, he's gonna need that because he's running out of his primary gold very soon, as he's losing water control over here slow and steady. Apparently gives up on water, and as you can see, once he gives up on water, BacT is gonna start adding fishing ships. This is the gamble that you take if you surrender water, and that means that your opponent will have a better fishing eco. Still, Persians, if they go for free TCs, he will be able to keep up the pace with the villager counts, but it's not the ideal scenario, I would say, for Lix. Anyways, I do see Downwatch coming in, so apparently Lix is afraid of potential raids coming in, and he also knows that there is gonna be Mangonels on his way. He did see this castle going up, so he knows that there is gonna be Mangonels soon indeed. Goes for Elite Skirmisher. He will need something against the Light Cavalry though, because basically, in all cases, Mangonels are usually combined with Hussars or Light Cavalry in Castle Age to fight against the Skirmishers. And the tricky thing is that for Persians, you do have Halberdiers. However, these Halberdiers are not exceptionally good if I can remember right. Let me check the text trees. In fact, these are fully upgraded Halberdiers. In fact, this would probably mean that you can go Elite Skirm Halberdier if you really want to. The main problem is that Persians do not have Bracer, so those Skirms are not exceptionally good, but they're okay in Castle Age. And I guess, still, Bracerless Skirmishers and Halberdiers might be able to pull this off. The problem is that probably that will force BacT to go for some Onagers, so it's gonna be a very, very tricky fight for Lix to take. The Light Cavalry plus Mangonel composition is just so hard to counter right now. And apparently Lix is gonna start committing into the Skirmishers fight. It did work for him on Cross. We will see if it's gonna work here for him. And apparently, indeed, it's one sneaky villager going for a TC over here, which will mean that he's gonna have 4 town centers. For BacT, he is rolling with apparently just 3, but the 3rd town center is just coming up. Forward Siege Workshop, though, probably for Mangonels, he wants to fight this one in Castle Age. Mangonels plus Mangonel can also work very well here, because you will have the firepower to deal with skirms, and also it's much harder to micro skirms against Mangonels here than what you need to do with Mangonels and Mangonels. So the combination of these two units is actually beautiful, in my point of view, and I do believe that you can do significant damage on your opponent with this composition. Alright, so Lix, coming in over here with a few skirmishers, does have basically all our upgrades that is available in Castle Age, still missing +2 armor. The problem is gonna be that fighting against the Mangudai and the Mangon altogether is gonna be quite challenging. I do see a monk coming in here as well, maybe just for the relic, I'm not sure, or maybe he suspects that there might be knights coming his way. Persian TCs can withstand a lot of bombardment because they are Persian and they have double the HP, but still, this is gonna be a tough fight for Lix to take. He already has lost water control on this one. This is BacT's home map, so I wouldn't be surprised to see, like I said, BacT being very strong on this one. Now, this Mangonel is just enough to push away the villagers from the gold mine. There it is, first shot killing one villager. And Lix still has 3 villagers lead, but that's not super significant. Mangudai just running around, skirmishers unable to catch up to them. Lix will have his 3rd town center, actually that's for the 4th town center, on this hill, but it will be spotted by BacT, so BacT will have the chance to maybe castle drop that one at some time. Like dropping a castle over here would be beautiful against that TC. Bit of a wasteful move there over there from BacT moving into the TC range. But this is gonna be tough, like I said, for Lix to fight. He will need a bunch of skirmishers and something to deal with those Mangonels. Maybe Skirms and Mangonels could be the name of the game. He needs to set those Mangudai to stand ground though, because they are just constantly engaging the town center, losing a lot of numbers. Come on, set it to stand ground, man. Anyways, you will have a bunch of fishing ships over here as well for BacT, and that makes him able to have equal compared to Lix. In fact, Lix has 10 idols, so the overall eco, or at least the portion of it that is working, is probably better for BacT at this point. And another Mangudai goes down, come on. Like, at this point, really, you want to set them to stand ground, but as you can see, BacT just sending them to the back. Still, 3 Mangonels, this is gonna be quite hard to hold, and there is gonna be the castle drop coming in from BacT. This is one of the moves that he does quite often when he has a bit of a map control, when he has the unit composition and the unit numbers to pull off a castle drop, he's gonna do that. Bunch of knights piling up though, and this attack might be enough knights flooding out on the villagers and the Mangonels. This could actually decide the engagement over here, just +1 armor, but the numbers might be more than enough to deal with this aggression here. Apparently there is gonna be one monk with the conversion. The Mangonels go down and the skirmishers might just finish off the rest. The castle is at 77%. And this is appearing to be a doubt castle, in my point of view, indeed. Probably we will see Lix dropping some stone gates around it, so there is no chance for BacT to finish that castle. But BacT not only has lost significant villager numbers in this one, also lost a lot of military numbers, and apparently Lix is just gonna counter castle this very soon. So with that, he's gonna have control over that gold. That was a horrible fight for BacT to take. And Lix now has a big eco lead, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Lix going into Imperial faster than BacT. Indeed, BacT's military or eco numbers are basically non-existent. Meanwhile, for Lix, he's almost ready to click up to Imperial. And what then for Lix? Probably Cavaliers and Skirmishers will be the name of the game here for him. For BacT, he's getting close to the camp as well, but I definitely think that the advantage is going to be on the side of Lix over here. Monk goes down without a single conversion, but the Mangonel is able to land some fancy shots on the skirmishers, and this might not be the fight to take, to be honest, for Lix. Lost, I think, 1 knight to a conversion. There's 2 over there already converted. Another monk is coming in with full fate, so this is not something that you can take. You will probably need a bit more skirmishers against that many Mangudai, and I do assume it has to be something like Cavalier and the Skirms then, because I still don't see the composition with which Persians could really be efficient in this matchup. Anyways, like I said, good head start for Lix going into Imperial. BacT just gonna be ready to click up. He's gonna be like 35% behind, which is approximately about a minute or a minute 20. And adding TC number 5, so his eco is gonna be exceptionally good compared to what we are actually seeing from BacT. And with such an eco, you can easily outmass your opponent with forces, and that is one way of beating Mongols in this one. I'm fairly certain that this is why Lix is putting that much focus on the booming here, because in terms of unit composition, Mongols are supposed to be superior. They have an answer to everything what Persians can do, I believe. However, in terms of eco, if you can outboom Mongols here, then you will just be able to outmass them in numbers. But as you can see, a lot of knights just fell very easily there to the Mangudai. And even the Mangudai are cleaning up those skirmishers. A lot of forces lost here from Lix. I'm not sure why he did not pull back the knights in this one. but apparently he's gonna lose most of his army here on the north for basically little gain. Apparently our ram is moving up to the north. Not sure what to think about this ram. Maybe just to soak up some arrow fire, but BacT is a better player than that. BacT will be still able to focus fire on the knights and stuff. So yep, the name of the game should be more about the plate barding, more about trying to take the fight over here. And Lix doesn't have enough stone to make a castle, so he can't push forward right now. And there is gonna be some manga guys looking for the villagers here on the north. I like this defensive tower here from Lix. If there is trouble coming his way on this gold mine, he's gonna be able to get a safe hold of that. And meanwhile, water control is on the side of BacT. I would love to see Lix just sneaking a dock up over there, make 2 fire galleys, you don't even need the war galley upgrade, and just sink all of this one. You can definitely do that, and that would hurt the eco of BacT even further. Right now, 20 villagers lead already for Lix, as that could be a few villager picks maybe, with Cavalier almost done, plus 4 armor already there. I think this is a bit of an early engagement here from Lix though, because you want to engage once you have the Cavalier upgrade available. Imperial Age hitting for BacT over here as well, so Bracer, Chemistry on the way very soon, Thumbring shortly following. So yeah, there is the Cavalier upgrade, and that means that those Cavaliers are almost fully upgraded, and at this point you can decide by 2 things. You go for Elite Skirm, or you go for Commander on Crossbows, and I feel like Elite Skirm is probably gonna be named the game. And look at Lix, he's going for Paladin upgrade. I'm not sure if I like that or not. He has like 17 military, not a lot of cavalry, he's like 10 Cavaliers. Upgrading 10 Cavaliers into Paladin might not be worth it. Instead you should be focused on massing a bit more cavalry. Once he can mass Paladins, that is going to be a very strong army to fight against, and I'm not sure if BacT will have the eco or the manga numbers to fight against that, especially if a decent supply of skirmishers are also available to snap those guys down. Paladins are very long upgrades, so as you can see, it still will take at least 2 or 3 more minutes until it arrives. And meanwhile, you will have conscription coming in here as well for BacT. BacT will have a limited Mangodai production though, that's always something to point out with the Mangodai. You need a castle for that. And you don't want to engage this one, Lix. You don't want to engage. Just run away, dude. You want to keep your Paladins alive until you actually get, or Cavaliers upgrade alive, until you get the Paladin. Paladin at 75% right now. He must not engage this one. This might be a good one here. But like I said, hit and run tactics could just work very well here for the Mangodai. We'll get this archer destroyed so there is more surface to attack. And the Paladin upgrade will arrive right now. Still, Mangodais can do a decent hit and run play. This probably should only work if you also have some skirmishers protecting your base. I think the timing wasn't perfect there from Lix. He's gonna go for Blast Furnace as well. Pikeman in the mix for BacT, but there is the Paladin Horde being unleashed. This is a very scary horde. And let's not forget, Persians also do have their knights having +2 attack against archers. Now I'm not sure if that applies to Mangodai as well, but I do assume it has to apply on Cav archers as well. And here for Lix, the target is definitely the castles. If you can take down the castles, your opponent will have basically 0 production of Mangodais on this one. Meanwhile, for BacT, he might not be able to engage this one directly. That's something to point out. And there is the forward castle coming up over here now. Splitting up these forces is not very great, I would say, from Lix. So he's taking a lot of beating from multiple castles. But this castle will probably fall down very fast. And like I said, I don't know if BacT has the numbers to actually take a fight against this one. Eco is much better for Lix, and he has better production as well. If the castles go down, you cannot produce Mangodais. Right now, you have like 3 castles for BacT. This is not enough to fight against that many Paladins that are arriving. Originally, this castle was positioned over here, but it's going to be a bit more aggressive approach. Coming up from Lix, more and more batches of Paladins coming in. He will probably need some more forward stables so he can actually produce closer to the battlefield. But these are fully upgraded Paladins, even though this castle feels a bit of a doubt castle. But once you can start shelling down all of those castles, this could be a beautiful one. For Lix, so far he's overwhelming the forces of BacT over here. Pikeman basically dealing 0 damage to these guys. Inefficient eco is there as well from BacT. He's already behind by 20 villagers, but what is even worse, he has 30 idols, so he has like 90 villagers working compared to 150. You can't match up against that many Paladins if you have an eco that is that bad. And Lix knows exactly he needs to take down those castles, but despite the fact that he has lost water control over here, Paladins apparently are saving the game for him. Not often times you see Paladins in 1v1 games because it's so expensive, it's so hard to get there. But apparently, here the Paladins are the name of the game for Lix. Probably the best unit available for Persians in this one, as he's slowly cleaning up the Mangonite. Like I said, Mangonite production is a slow process. You can see that on this castle. You will need castles for it. Meanwhile, Lix is just spamming out Paladins from like 16 stables. Look at that. All of those stables just pumping out the Paladins. Military numbers heavily in the favor of Lix, 40-7. And this is Lix's game to lose. He can take down this DC, start raiding the eco as well. These Palisade gates will stop nothing from the Paladins. And there is the GG coming up from BacT. He's gonna lose his own home map in this one. And that is where it gets interesting. That is where it gets interesting. So, Lix, his first game was very, very bad. But the second one and the third one are exceptionally good. Now winning it all on BacT's home map. And apparently, we will have game number 4 indeed on slopes. In this case, I'm not sure why they actually picked 3 home maps. But Bialo and Robo was right about that. Apparently, game 4 and game 7 are fixed maps. We will have slopes being played out. BacT with Indians, Lix with Slavs. So missing out Mongols is one thing on this one. But Lix going for Slavs over here as I welcome you to game number 4 in this best of 7 in between Lix and BacT. Map is gonna be slopes. This is a new map for Hidden Cup 3. And you have a deer patch and you have a shorefish pond for each players. So Indians definitely understandable. This is the second time in the qualifiers we're actually seeing Slavs versus Indians. And indeed, as Bialo says, Vinja vs. Lan also had Slavs and Indians. And at that point, I was like, why would you pick Slavs over here? It makes no sense. And I'm starting to be more and more confident that there is probably about the unit composition. Because it is guaranteed that Indians will have a far better eco with the shorefish that you have over here. So they will be able to go up to super, super fast feudal age, go for early scouts, and that's not something that you can pull off as Slavs. However, what I think about is that Slavs can answer the Indian camel approach in late game quite well with their Druzhina halberdiers. And also, Slavs do have elite skirmisher available, and Slavs are missing bracers, so theoretically they can fight against cav archers quite well as well. And BacT, is he laming a boar? He's apparently laming a boar away here, and that is against the rules. Oh man, BacT. I am fairly certain that laming is against the rules, correct me if I'm wrong. Not sure what he was trying to do. But if this is a boar lame, then this has to be an admin win. Even if it's unsuccessful, then it has to be an admin win for Lix. Yep. I still believe that it is probably better for Indians in the long run. Not sure why people love Slavs this much. As long as we're not seeing a Slavs win on this map, I will be skeptical about that. Now, and the reason why we're not seeing an admin win call over here is because Lix hasn't found his injured boar. If Lix finds this injured boar, he will probably say, hey, he tried to lame me, and he can call for an admin win. So, 99% sure you don't have to be successful with your boar lame in order to lose the game because of that. I think he realized it was not allowed and escaped the boar on purpose. Doesn't matter. If you once you initiate contact with the boar, it is actually counting as a lame. The reason because of it, and that's something to talk about, as we already have Lix dropping some Palisade Wall foundations over here. He wants to see when BacT goes for those ponds. And apparently BacT is focusing on huntables first, not sending out villagers on the fish. And BacT is going for the berries here. So many things to talk about in this one. Both players going for the berries. Why do you go for the berries here if you are Indians? BacT is making so bad moves in this one. And that's the first thing I wanted to point out. So, you attempt a lame in one of the most crucial games that would actually mean that you could qualify to this game. And let's see, now Lix is luring in the board. Maybe he did not notice it. Regardless of this would be an admin win, unless they continue to play further. So, I want to talk about some stuff over here. A lot of stuff to talk about in this one. First, going for a lame attempt in this one is not something excusable. You try to qualify for one of the highest prize money event in the recent years. and you don't know the rules, this is bad. That is very bad. I know, I see the motivation behind it because he was behind and he was like, okay, I need an advantage. Maybe even if he realized after it, it is, even thinking about laming is not something that you should allow. Like, imagine if he's successful laming it or something happens to this one. Lix just wins an admin win and he's gonna be on match point. That would be one of the biggest throws available for BacT. Now I think BacT might be lucky that Lix did not notice it. And this is the second thing I want to talk about out of the three. Second thing here. A lame is a lame after starting when you initiate the contact with the boar. Why? Because let's have an example. Lix wants to get this boar over here. BacT hits the boar, runs away with it to this point. At this point, even if BacT lets the boar go, the boar will have to walk all the way back and you delay the boar of your opponent. So basically a lame counts from the first hit on the boar with the scout, and that means that with that should be an admin win, right? And so apparently Lix did not spot this. So if Lix wins this game, I think it's fine. And I'm not sure if they altered the results of this game. I will check out the caster's Discord after this. But even when you send back that boar, this is supposed to count as an admin loss. Like, I want to compare this to what we have seen in Versif's Cup, Dogao versus John Slow. Dogao started blaming the boar of his opponent. He was halfway done, and he was lost an admin win. He didn't even succeed at bringing it back home. I see that he did let the boar go and the boar walked back, so in the end, Lix did not suffer any loss from this. But still, when there is a no laming rule, that means that you cannot even attempt it. It doesn't matter if it's successful or not, or if you stop it or not. So third thing I want to talk about, just head-scratching decision after head-scratching decision from BacT, going for the berries here, being super late on the shorefish. Why? Why only move out in feudal age to the shorefish? This makes zero sense for BacT. He's gonna go for 22 pop scouts, which is super late, although it could have been 21 pop, but regardless. This is very late to move out to those. Overall, milling the berries here as Indians is something horrible, I would say. In Dark Age, there is nothing that could hurt your villagers over here, and you're just giving so much room for Slavs to operate with. You have given away the best thing that Indians can have on this map. In fact, you pick Indians on this map for that specific feudal age advantage that are gained by having this lake over here. So, surrendering that lake in Dark Age is just a horrible decision. Anyways, after all this chaos in the starting stages of the game, we can probably go into casting this, because apparently we have a fairly equal game over here. Lix didn't even bother getting his shorefish. It's somewhat more understandable from him playing Slavs, but still, if BacT went for his early shorefish, that would already be a big advantage for BacT. So this is not Lix having a good decision going Slavs and not even going for the fish. This is more about BacT having a head-scratching decision not to go for his fish in the initial stages of the game. Yeah, BacT might be sloppy because he was distracted because of the marriage. Maybe. The weird thing is that BacT wasn't sloppy in most of the games. In fact, BacT was insanely good in game number 1, for example. BacT was insanely good in all of the qualifiers, so this is why it's surprising that even the previous game he was very good. But damn, in this game he's playing very badly. Now I like this move from him, having used the heal control to snap down the spearman here from Lix, and the scouts wars will continue to happen. Both players apparently full evolved. BacT will have a gold to work with over here, so I don't really blame him for having this gold walled off like this one, but this will require TC probably over here in between the berries, which will future farms, or yeah, which will be future farms. And an early switch into archer range makes me believe that this is gonna be probably a cav archer switch quite early, but first we'll see archers. So when you drop your first range like this is a scouts into archers play and not a pre-castle age archer range construction to go up to cav archers. So we'll probably see scouts into archers here from him. Anyways, let's see if Lix still has his pass side foundations over here. He does. So Lix is well aware that there is one villager taking that shorefish over there, so he will focus on trying to disrupt that a tiny bit. Oh, he's stopping because he already knows he lost this game. I don't know, but overall, oh man, one villager walking out. What was this lady trying to do? What was this lady trying to do over here? She will get picked off by the scouts. I cannot even imagine what the BacT was trying to do over there. Maybe outposts, sneaky tower. But all of the resources of Lix are so safe. Why would you risk the life of your villager walking out over there? Ah, so many mistakes are piling up for BacT. They are just really piling up over here. And honestly, we might end up not being in a need of an admin win for Lix for that lame attempt. Because so far, BacT is not on the top of his game right now. Trying to bash his way into the opponent's base, he will have the range coming up. This is a hidden range, so Lix has no idea that that is happening. That is gonna be an archer switch, and with that, probably for Slavs, depending on what kind of map control they have, I would assume they will go forward Siege Workshop. If they have the map control for it, BacT is gonna click up faster to Castle Age, thanks to basically this food eco here on the left side. But still, soon to follow is gonna be Lix with the farms, and once you run out of shorefish, the eco of Slavs will definitely be better. So that's something of a positive here for Slavs. If you can pull off a game until, like let's say early Castle Age, when Indians run out of the shorefish, you will probably have a better eco because of the farms. Still, I believe unit composition should be on the side of Indians, and this is probably gonna be crossbows. At this point, I would like to see BacT trying to drag away these scouts into the northern side of the map. And with these archer ranges, you pop out the archers and move up. So by the time you get the Botkin arrow and crossbow upgrade, you will be somewhere around here and start picking up farmers. That will be one way of doing things. Anyways, I want to take a look at BacT's vision over here while we have a dance of scouts. He does see that gold mine, but he does not see the more important gold mine here at the back for Lix, which is super safe as of yet. And with the spearman, I think this is gonna be kind of a Pyrrhic victory here for Lix. He's gonna kill most of the scouts from BacT, but BacT already has done enough damage. So villager counts is that even, but why this is scary is because Lix is behind in Castle Age time, so he's supposed to have more villagers. Maybe he does have wheelbarrow as well, that something might be missing from BacT. Anyways, BacT will have to fall back to his base. Apparently this villager is just staring down that wall over here. Come on, do something please. Okay, he decided to fish. It's fine. Anyways, crossbow and fletching coming over here, a bit sloppy yet again. From BacT, forgets fletching. He could have upgraded that while he was going up to Castle Age. He would need to upgrade Botkin arrow by now. Okay, there is Botkin arrow, so it's not super horrible for him, but it's just really a bunch of small mistakes after each other, and they will pile up at some time, because Lix is playing a much better game overall. It's a cleaner game that he's doing, as he's gonna drop a TC here on the left side. And now comes the interesting part though. You could start picking off villagers big time here from BacT, and that could be his way back into this game, because I feel like Lix might have had a bit of an advantage, but he's able to deny a TC from Lix, deny the gold mine, and this will probably force Lix. I don't think you can actually force that, that's a bad decision from Lix. Scouts will not really decide this one, and probably you will have to end up deleting this TC and replacing it with a defensive siege workshop for some mangonels. Meanwhile, the Cav Archer switch is happening. Scorpions coming up for Lix. Apparently he does have a siege workshop somewhere, I don't see. Scorpions is probably decent against the Cav Archers, but against crossbows I don't really like that. Crossbows can still arc Micro Scorpion quite well, and you already have a camel moving in. Now camels do deal, at least Indian camels do deal more damage against buildings. You can see that this camel is just bashing down this wall super fast. If the crossbows would also focus fire, they would be able to get this wall down super fast. And the combination of camels, these crossbows, and the Cav Archers could really be lethal to Lix here. Lix is gonna add a second layer to his wall. There is the wall going down, and like I said, crossbows can just pick off the villagers. Maybe they can even pick off that scorpion if they have some nice splits. Repairs will be commerced here by the villagers, but pikemen. for Lix. He's just adapting to what BacT is doing, and that is just helping BacT out big time in this one. So I think that BacT is playing one town center. I did not have time to check it out. As Lix, all he wants to do is just force this town center up, but he's getting late so hard, and he was forced to take this gold mine over here. Beautiful moves there from BacT, going back into this villager while he's trying to bash his way up over here. This villager is idle, basically, seconding the walls, and more importantly, this TC is still not up just yet. I wonder if there is a hole in between these two houses, but I don't think so. One villager goes down, and some of those villagers are super low HP. Multiple scorpions out there in the party, as knights are coming from Lix. That's a bad one. Like, Lix is a bit in trouble with the unit composition he's trying to utilize. Like, going for knights when your opponent is Indians and has camels makes very little sense here. And this is why I was so curious about the Slavs pick here. It just doesn't feel right in terms of unit composition. Because the Indians now, BacT is slowly taking a lot of shots on his crossbows here, but picking off villagers like that is definitely beneficial for him. 47 to 45 is the villager counts right now. And once we check out how many TCs BacT has, that could make even more sense. More villagers dying over there, and 5 villagers deficit from BacT despite, or Lix, despite the fact that he's playing 2 town centers, and the BacT is just adding TC number 3. So basically, Lix could have outboomed him if he had this TC up, but he did not manage to do so. It's 2 town centers for both players right now, but the third town center is denied over here from Lix for the time being, and he cannot take his primary gold, which is probably an even better scenario. There's finally the mangonels coming in, and I wonder if BacT sees those flags on that stable. He does not. That's a bit of an issue for him, because if he had seen this, there would be a chance for more camels to arrive. This is a bad move though from BacT, grouping up the monks with the knights, but yet again manages to pick up one villager, and he will have the heal advantage as well, trying to mango down this town center. He wants to pick up the scorpions first, finally mango arrives from Lix, but yeah, you don't group up your cav archers and camels with that monk because it slows them down. And BacT, all he's doing is just farming villagers over here. Look at that. Kill death ratios are not even super different. That's actually surprising, because BacT is just smashing villagers here, and if he can pick off that scorpion with that mango, I'm not sure why he did return. There is gonna be the knights popping out. I think they did manage to snap down the monk. Indeed, that is the case. They are going for the mangonel right now, but apparently they decide to fall back. One weak knight is just going out there to take down the mango, but I think the crossbows can finish off that knight. Indeed, the monk still alive. He can land a shot on the villagers. TC will finally go up, but this is still a perfect position for BacT to stay in. He's gonna utilize this hill and start mangoing down this town center as it is. So I would say that BacT is still in a very good position, has a confident 5 villagers lead, switching into cav archers slow and steady. He also has some camels in the party, even though upgrades are absolutely lacking for those guys. And let's see this mangonel. I don't get why this mangonel is trying to push over here on the front. Instead, should just pressure this town center, force these villagers to repair constantly. That could be an idea. Anyways, a few cav archers raiding on the left side. Apparently Lix ran out of patience and added TC number 3 on the wood line over here as well, which is gonna be good for farming here. So he's gonna be on 4 town centers, but like I said, the main motivation was to have 3 town centers here before this actually went up. So this is the main reason why we have 4 town centers right now for Lix. He could outboom BacT with 4 though, and that's something to point out for BacT. BacT will probably see those 2 town centers on the far left. A bit of a mango dance coming up over here. He does see the mangonel here from Lix, and he does not see the second town center over here. That is actually a critical piece of information missing. So he does not know that Lix is doing 4 town centers as compared to just 3 town centers from him. And that means that given time, Lix is gonna be able to easily outmass him in villager counts. However, the aggressiveness so far might pay off. This is a bad one though from BacT. He's mangoing down his own ram. Oh man. Not sure why he was actually mixing in some rams over here when he has mangonels. He could just focus fire with mangonels or use these resources to make mangonels instead of rams on this one. But apparently we'll probably try to take down the unstable with the rams. There is the defensive mangonel coming up from Lix. Will land a shot on the ram. Second mangonel up for Lix as well. So apparently I do see a focus from BacT on that barracks. Makes me think that he might actually switch back into camels in this one. We will see. Using the hilltop, he's gonna have an insane damage output against that barracks, and the barracks will indeed go down very fast. And meanwhile, he does have a bunch of cav archers over here. Apparently a siege workshop is up as well for Lix over here. Not sure what the motivation of that is. I would like to see him using a few villagers for the hunt. That would save up some wood for him, instead of investing those to farms. Slab farms are amazing, as BacT has a 1-for-0 trade over here. But still, when you have the chance to go for some hunting, that can definitely help you out because you don't have to invest in farms while you're doing that. Meanwhile, BacT is gonna do the outposts yet again, wants to have some vision on the opponent's base, and the Rams finally flooding inside. Mangonel will make a quick work of them, as the Camels will try to intercept these Mangonels. Pikemen will do a quick work with these guys, so I'm not sure why BacT has completely ceased production of Cav Archers over here. He does not have any gold miners. What's up with BacT's gold miners? What's happening here for BacT? He's 84 villagers, 0 of them are idle basically, but he has no gold miners. I think he's not noticing he doesn't have any gold miners. That could be an issue. Meanwhile, Cav Archers on the south pushing their way in, but apparently they are just getting picked off by a Mangonel. However, Lix's army is completely mispositioned over here. We'll have some conversion on Knights, but more importantly, if these Cav Archers can run inside, this fight doesn't matter for BacT, I would say. He's gonna lose most of his forces, but like I said, the Cav Archers are inside. Lix will have to fall back, and it is getting interesting. So BacT, still without any gold income. And he wasn't producing Cav Archers for quite a significant time. Finally, we'll start raiding the base of Lix, but basically unable to do so. So he had some good flashes in this game, I gotta say, and showed signs of being able to win this game. However, now he is in a very bad position. He still has a 5 villagers lead, but in reality, right now, I just think that the army of Lix might be enough to fight against this one. And the combination of Knights and Pikes is definitely tough for Indians to fight, unless you have a large amount of Cav Archers available. This is why I was surprised to see BacT stopping to produce the Cav Archers in this one. I feel like if he just keeps producing those Cav Archers, he could have had a very, very deadly army in this matchup. Anyways, Scorpions in the party and the Mangonel shot could definitely finish off a lot of those Cav Archers. Mangonel goes down, so it's a decent micro here from BacT. Now this force is much more micro intensive than the one from Lix. I like how he's picking off the pikes to the town center just to try and save the Cav Archers, and now the Cav Archers will try to pick off these Knights. Knights have +2 armor and +1 attack as well, so these are actually fairly sturdy Knights. And I'm not sure if BacT has the numbers in Cav Archer to actually deal with these Knights. Opening up that gate is a very, very risky move. And yep, indeed, he's gonna allow those Knights to get inside. That could be a critical mistake over here, because if the Knights can start picking off villagers, even just 2 of them separating from the group, this could be perfect. So at this point for Lix, he could just send like 1 Knight over here and could start picking off villagers. Apparently it's gonna be a cleanup from BacT, so there wasn't really a big issue with this one. But this could have gone worse and worse. Anyways, apparently it's gonna be a Rams, and the Knights coming in here from Lix as he's taking over in this game. He's 6 villagers behind, but his eco is still fine. And he will have a decent amount of Knights available alongside some Rams. And BacT doesn't have answers to those Rams right now, as this TC is gonna be horribly exposed. A bunch of villagers idled here, so despite the fact that BacT has 5 villagers extra compared to Lix, BacT has 30 idles. This is an awful lot of idle time on his villagers. Did not have gold production for quite a significant amount of time. And now, all of these villagers could just die to 1 big mango shot. Defensive castle coming up here from BacT, but that feels a bit more like a panic castle. I'm not sure if he can actually pull that off with a Mangonel lurking around. That could be a lot of villagers dying. There is 1 shot. I think this Mango just needs to pick off a few villagers or maybe land a shot on the Cav Archers. Both works. Mango's still alive, and the Cav Archers might be able to finish him off. There is gonna be another few villagers dying from BacT. Villager counts that even, but a lot of idols there from BacT. He has awful lot of idols. Look at that. Just idols all the way around the map for BacT. He has idols inside his TC over here, so basically his entire eco is crippled. No farming eco. If you take a look at his resource count, he has a lot of wood, because that is what he has workers on. But basically no food, no gold, and if you take a look at Lix's eco, much more polished, basically 0 idle time on his villagers, has the military lead as well right now, as BacT is trying to get a TC up over there on the Stone Path. This Ram is probably gonna go down, and the aggression from Lix will be halted for the time being. But at this point, with the siege workshop coming up on the left side, I do assume that Lix will try to push on the left flank and go for the wood eco of BacT over here. And since Lix had a much better eco, he'll probably kick up to Imperial Age very soon. BacT is also close to click up to Imp, so BacT might end up being faster into Imperial. However, he has lost a bunch of villagers, and now Lix is outbooming him massively. 122 villagers compared to just 112. So I would say Imperial Age times will be fairly identical for the two players, even though Lix apparently is gonna be a bit slower because he's adding a bit more units. More and more Knights and Scorpions. He could have clicked up by now, but decides to add a bit more units, and that means he's probably gonna be like 30 seconds late, I would say, in Imperial Age time compared to his opponent. And apparently a composition of Halberdiers and Rams is gonna be what we'll probably see from Lix, judging by the amount of brags that is being propped down. And indeed, with the amount of camos that is being added from BacT, Halberdiers will definitely be a good one over here. I do expect the castle to go up very soon from Lix. He already has a town center here on the right side as well, so I think he's like 5 town centers around. And he will need a castle for the Virginia technology to be researched. Now, going for Knights over here is not a glorious idea, but I think you can pull off something like Halberdier Knight as well over here for Lix if you have enough pikes. And this one apparently does not have enough pikes right now, but soon reinforcements arrived and the clammers got cleaned up. Few villagers to pick off over here from BacT, and now all of these villagers will get idled here thanks to the Mangonel shelling this TC. And yet again, even though the villager counts are fairly even for the two players, BacT just has way more idle time on his villas, and that is just gonna pile up slowly and steadily. And that's a lot of Scorpions as well. Scorpions are overall a great answer, so Halberdier Scorpion works fine here as well. So, yeah, there is a composition, Halberdier Scorpion, indeed, that could work fairly decently for Slavs. The problem is that massing Scorpions is a bit tricky, so you need a good eco for it, and you must have time to mass it. But apparently, since BacT is on the defense right now, this gives time for Lix to start massing Scorpions here. Meanwhile, I did see some of those Knights going down there beneath the TC, but this TC is in a big danger. There's going to be the Cav Archers moving out to the left side. No Scorpions to deal with them right now. And so much chaos going on. Some stables on the right side, so I assume BacT could start light cavalry raids into the eco of Lix over here. But the direct assault on this market, or more importantly this TC, is soon gonna commence. Oh, he mangled his two of his own Knights? Well, we've seen some, what is that, Rams going down to Mangoes. But yeah, this is the main problem. If BacT had a full cavalry archer army, that would be very tough to fight. You need more Scorpions from Lix to make sure that you can actually fight against that. Meanwhile, I like how Lix is picking up some relics. If you take a look at the relic counts, 1 from Lix, 0 from anyone else, which it could just be BacT, so I guess that makes it easy. But with this market going down, that could also be a bit of a trouble here for BacT. Right now he's focusing a lot on the repairs, and I'm not sure if Rams is really the answer here, because the TC will pick off the Knight, and villagers can pick up the Rams here very soon, so this might not work. For Lix, depends on what the town center is targeted. If the TCs target Knights and they clean it up with the help of those Cav Archers, this might work. But now the villagers are jobbed out of the TC with the Cav Dram upgrade arriving. Cavalier is also here from Lix, and he starts massacring villagers in large quantities. This is the time that he was waiting for. Cam was being massed by from BacT, but he has little upgrade in these guys. I think it's just +1/+1, and this is just the Indian bonus with the extra Pierce armor. And he doesn't have heavy camos right now. A lot of villagers being lost over here as BacT is dropping on 115, and Lix is basically doing the same thing that he has done in the previous game, going for heavy cavalry approach. He's pushing in the middle with Rams, and Cav Archers are just not enough to stop that right now. Siege Rams could arrive from him very soon, but apparently he wants to just use Cav Rams for the time being. And a lot of villagers going down here from BacT. He's down to 108 villagers. Camos will probably clean up these Rams though, so I don't think that this will happen. But the traps already arriving. We'll have a nice little heal to work with as well to trap down this castle very soon. And meanwhile, the right side for Lix, he is also starting to take down buildings, getting more and more map control for himself. And even though there is just a 1000 score lead for Lix, I feel like that lead might be enough. Or might be even more than what the score indicates. Anyways, Scorpions caught off guard by the camos here, that could be a bit of a problem. But I feel like if you can just mass these with Scorpions, you can fight against those Cav Archers. And since BacT is switching full camos, now is the time for Družina Halberdiers. There is Blast Furnace, there is Halberdier coming up here from Lix. In terms of other upgrades, he does have full armor, so he's missing these two upgrades alongside Drujinia. Once he has the traps out in this fight, I do assume Drujinia will arrive from him as well. And this is not a great fight for Lix, he probably will need to run away from the heavy camos now. But his army here is gonna be enough because BacT, I don't think he can actually supply a large force of Cav Archers. If BacT had Cav Archers, it might actually work well. But in this situation, for BacT, probably the best thing that he can do is Shatangi Hand Cannoneers against those Halberdiers, but there is still then the Cavaliers to fight against, then there is still potentially Onagers and Scorpions to fight against. So I would say Camel's Hand Cannoneers feels like something that BacT can utilize over here, but that takes time to switch to. You will need more Archer Ranges, you will need Chemistry if you don't have it already, and apparently BacT does not have Chemistry, so something like maybe even Hand Cannon, yeah, a few Camels for Meat Shield and against Anti-Cavalry, and then Hand Cannon, Bombard Cannon should be what BacT is supposed to do here, but he's just outmatched in terms of eco numbers so hard that it might not happen, even though right now the military counts are quite decent and he's gonna drop a castle here on the left side, securing the stone and the gold for himself, and also probably just destroying this forward base as well. So this is turning out to be an interesting game over here. North side, it's gonna be siege ramps falling down on this town center alongside finally some halberdiers and light cavalry raids coming in over here, and these siege ramps just destroy TCs so fast, and if you have some light cavalry to clean up the villagers over here, this could be perfect. Apparently not a lot of military right now for Lix over here, but still a lot of idle time is being forced on the villagers of BacT. BacT is gonna secure this castle for himself, no response to that from Lix, but he's close to being able to build a castle for himself very soon as well. He does have 4 traps available though, and he could just trap this castle down very soon. He's focusing on the middle castle right now, and adding more and more halberdiers and light cavalry, so he wants to play siege ram, halberdier, and light cavalry. Like I said, if BacT mixes in some hand cannoneers, that could be something for him. Also, he has the Shatangi upgrade for Indians, which gives some extra range to those hand cannoneers, and that would be a perfect answer to the halberdiers of his opponent. And apparently this is going to be a great raid on the traps over here, picking off a Scorpion, picking off another Scorpion, 2 traps, perfect value over there, and you also delay the opponent's push on this castle over here. The problem is that there is going to be a bunch of rams pushing here, but I think the camels can clean this up quite well, so I wouldn't really be afraid of that this much. More of a problem is the halberdiers and rams coming from the other side, and those halberdiers are just enough to clean up the camels, I do assume, if they are stopping attacking the mining camp. But apparently they're in the mood to beat down the mining camp instead of the camels, so the camels will still live to see another day. But I think this castle might go down. 1 ram still alive, and with the traps also helping out, I think this castle has little chance of survival. Indeed, the camels are a bit too late to clean up the rams, and this castle will just fall. This could be the critical castle destruction here. Meanwhile, on the northern side, we do see Siege Ram taking down this TC. This could be very important because once BacT is able to start spamming light cavalry in here, he could pick off additional villagers from BacT. BacT 120 villagers, Lix at 155. And BacT is getting his eco rated so hard, but I feel like his military numbers are a bit more convincing. So Lix is raiding left and right, but he doesn't have a big push anywhere on the map. Meanwhile, apparently he's spamming light cavalry inside the base of his opponent, so another bunch of villagers will die from BacT. BacT is dropping down to 100. He needs to add more villagers into his eco and needs to make sure that they will stay alive. But like I said, his army itself is probably better than the one from Lix right now. However, his eco is just getting raided so hard that he's losing way too many villagers into this one, like light cavalry picking up villagers left and right. And let's see, indeed, there is the hand cannoneers coming in, but you will need more camels to do that, because light cavalry will just massacre all of those hand cannoneers, so you can't just go naked hand cannoneer on this one. But indeed, with Shatangi hand cannoneers alongside the camels, that can be a very good composition to play around with. You will still need some siege weapons, but I guess if you mix in some bombard cannons, that could really help things out here for you. And apparently BacT is just gonna call the GG though, dropping down to 90 villagers. Like I said, compositional advantage is supposed to be on the side of Indians. I still believe that. Because Slavs, they will go, let's say, Onagers, let's say Halberdiers, Rams. Indians still have an answer for that in the form of bombard cannons, hand cannoneers. So just by the sheer unit compositions, Indians are supposed to be better. However, BacT has made a lot of critical mistakes on this game. Not taking this like in early. Laming a boar away, that could have actually meant an admin loss for him. He was lucky that he could actually play out this game, but now that we see the result, maybe Robo said, being an admin for the tournament, that hey, Lix has won anyway, so that doesn't matter. But if we follow those rules strictly, that could have been an admin loss for BacT trying to lame a boar away. So he was lucky that he didn't get caught on that one already. But still, Lix is moving into match point here, 3-1, and we will go to BacT's home map then. Eco numbers better for Lix. If you take a look at the food count, that's actually impressive. This is probably the reason why he's picking Slavs, although I still stand by my points that Slavs aren't supposed to be that strong in this map. If we go to super late game, they're probably better than Indians, but the unit composition and the early advantage with the lake should help Indians a bit more here. I just don't know why BacT didn't go for the lake a bit earlier than what he actually did. So, with all of this happening, it is time to go and get into game number 5. As I welcome you to game number 5 in a best of 7 in between these two players. Map is gonna be called High Tide. This is also a unique map for Hidden Cup 3. Right side is gonna be BacT in blue playing as Japanese, so I'm somewhat surprised not to see him going for Persians here either. I actually anticipated him going Persians in this map, but apparently he's not a big fan of Persians so far, did not pick it on any of those hybrid maps as of yet. And meanwhile for Lix on the left side, he's gonna be utilizing Malians in red. So Malians overall fairly versatile civilization, but they're nothing exceptional on hybrid maps. The only major advantage that they do receive is that they do have a wood discount bonus on buildings, and that means that they will have a bit more leftover wood to work with on the war. So with High Tide you have a shallows region over here. There is also some deep fish that you can actually get, and there is also a deeper region of the war available. On the middle island there is 3 relics available, and a bunch of gold and stone, and of course we will see in some early fishing from both players here very soon. This is why Japanese are so good on this map. They will have stronger fishing ships, better working fishing ships, so I do assume that BacT will want to put a large emphasis on the war control in this matchup. Meanwhile, for Lix, looking at his map is actually a quite beautiful one. Roll off here, here, and here, and you are absolutely super safe. Double golds at the back, double stones at the back, a lot of wood at the back, some huntables if you want to take that. Berry is also safe, so it's a very well defendable map for Lix, but he will also need to put pressure on water, because completely surrendering water to Japanese is gonna be a large issue. Also, if you surrender water, your opponent will probably be able to control the middle island with the golden stone on it. So, on the other side, BacT, his map, quite okay, I would say. Wall here on the left, wall here on the left. This is wallable, and probably he's gonna wall something like this and this. He would have back gold and back stone to work with, and he has scouted that gold as well, so there's gonna be no issue for him finding that. And meanwhile, you can already see Lix looking out for that villager to snipe her down, and this might happen. No loom for BacT over here, and indeed Lix does see the villager. Lix, oh boy, that's a beautiful one though. That was a beautiful one though from BacT, saving that villager in the final second. I was scared for BacT losing a villager over here. I was just looking out where BacT had his scout, and I was like, BacT has his scout very far away, so if that villager does not quick wall herself around, then that is gonna be a dead villager. Meanwhile, there is gonna be docks coming from both players in this one, as fishing ships will start to pop out. So I would assume that both players will try to put a decent emphasis on war first, and then probably transition into land army. I think the first player to transition into a land army will probably be the one that loses water. So once you start losing war, you will probably start focusing on the land combat. And because neither of the players will probably emphasize land that much early on, I don't expect these players to wall their bases off super early, unless they see their opponent is actually preparing something on land. Anyways, BacT gonna go up 1 fishing ships out for both players. And I do assume both players will click up at around something like 21, 22 eco. Seems like a legitimate click up. On a hybrid map like this, something like 7.5 minutes seems like a reasonable click up. Normally on team islands, you would like to see something like 7 minutes for a galley rush. On a hybrid map like this, you probably do a bit more emphasis on land. So for that reason, probably a bit later click up is something that you would think about. But BacT will probably click up at 22 villagers here, or 22 eco overall. And same is gonna be the case for Lix, I do assume. He's already researching Lu, so he's gonna click up a tiny bit earlier, trying to do some harassment on the fishing ships of Lix. Is BacT, though, this is actually very good, because you delay the fishing geek of your opponent. It's not a lot of damage, but this is actually very nice. And this is the other reason why Japanese are so good over here. Good luck trying to kill Japanese fishing ships with your scout over here. And meanwhile, BacT is able to idle multiple fishing ships with this one, and kind of slow down the food income from Lix. This is a beautiful move from BacT. So, like I said, he had some sloppy decision making in the previous game. This is very, very good from him. And BacT is gonna click up faster than Lix, actually. Lix added 1 more villager or what? Not sure what happened over here, because Lix did loom quite early. Maybe he did not have the food to do it, but this means that Lix is going to be slightly later into feudal age, and considering that he was forced to just run away from these shallows region, this means that his food eco is going to be very bad. Look at the travel distance in between these, in between the dock and in between these fishes. I could make an argument for Lix dropping his second dock over here so that he was going to have a bit more clean fishing eco, but BacT did manage to do a lot of damage with this one. Now, of course, Lix tried to replicate this one, but this is why you do have Japanese fishing ships, extra HP. Like, BacT doesn't need to care about this one, as he's gonna start adding his second dock over here, fairly close to the other one, but just far enough so that it's gonna increase the fishing efficiency. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lix doesn't appear to add a second dock just yet. He doesn't have a villager working forward, and he's gonna go for 4 villagers, barracks on the front. I think he knows that he might lose warrior in this one, and wants to fight on land. In fact, he's not adding a single fire galley. He wants to surrender the war to BacT. He did that in the Bay game, and he still won that. But still, he's gonna go for land aggression, and as you can see, BacT, I don't think he actually knows that there is anything coming up here. See, maybe he does house scanning, but it's more about, hey, do I see anything from my opponent right now on warrior? Nope, I don't see anything. So he could probably suspect Lix might be switching into a very aggressive land-based approach over here. Archers coming up very soon alongside a few spearmen, suspecting maybe scouts from his opponent. 2 militias popping out as well from BacT. Going for the men-at-arms for 2 militias is not really a smart idea, to be honest. I don't think if that investment is really worth it for him. But since Lix is playing wide open, he might be able to pick off a villager or 2, but his scout is still fairly high HP. Combining 2 men-at-arms with a scout might actually work out quite well. Do the camels in the center of the map offer anything? They are just visual fun things. Anyways, Lix is gonna go for towers. That is something you could have suspected if you have seen the 4 villagers moving forward. BacT will not see that tower, I think. Let's see. BacT is focusing on the gold miners over here, as you can see, and he does see the tower, but does not react to this one as of yet. And he might be forced off his gold pile momentarily, but he still has a back gold to work with. Meanwhile, though, Lix is gonna be losing villagers over here, so 2 man-at-arms are really paying off for their price. BacT not only will have ultimate water control and probably will be able to send the fishing geek off Lix entirely and keep adding fishing ships of his own. As you can see, he's already adding fishing ships here. But also, he will be able to harass the eco of Lix quite a bit. Lix will probably be able to beat this down with villagers, but the idea is that right now Lix doesn't appear to have gold control, even though he is gonna go very aggressive, trying to bash down the tower over here from BacT. This could work. If Lix drops a village or a wall around his villagers, he could just bash this tower down, and I think that is gonna be the plan. Or BacT. Could BacT just trap these guys? That could also be a plan. Apparently villager fights will be happening over here. Meanwhile, on their side, like I said, men-at-arms will be beaten down, but I think Lix did lose 1 villager, and Lix 25 eco compared to 33, and Lix is gonna lose these fishing ships as well very soon, thanks to the fire galleys. 0 contestancy towards water, and BacT will probably have a dock over here on this side of the island, so that is gonna further increase the efficiency of his ship. So right now, Lix is already behind by 9 eco, which is a lot. Like, that is actually... How much is that? It's like 2/7 of the entire eco of BacT. And that's an awfully big number right now. Archers ready to do damage though. Skirmishers defense coming up here from BacT. This wall is gonna fail, so he's gonna be forced to rush up the walls over here at the back, but he will be losing a lot of villagers to this one. So I'm not sure if this was really worth it here for BacT. He will lose a lot of villas in this one, and his woodline will also get denied. Meanwhile though, complete water control for BacT, and this is the moment when you have to start adding those skirmishers and have to start adding fishing ships. Skirmishers will probably clean up these archers over here, even though these skirms do not have fletching and these archers do. So it's gonna be a bit of a tougher challenge. But luckily for BacT, he does have the bag gold, and I wonder if Lix sees that. Lix does not see the bag gold, but he sees the mining camp, so he probably knows that there is the bag gold. I think when Lix started attacking, he did not know that there is a bag gold over here. So he was just like, oh yeah, I wanna tower this gold and cut off my opponent from all gold available. Anyways, apparently a redocking attempt will happen here from Lix, but still the main issue is that he's still 10 eco behind. So he managed to kill a few villagers from BacT, but BacT still has a big eco lead, and wouldn't be surprised to see him clicking up to Castle Age in a few minutes. Now villagers, this is not smart from BacT though, we'll lose a bunch of villagers. 2 of them are super low HP, indeed one goes down, and the skirmishers should clean up the rest. Still, Lix doing a decent job harassing it, and maybe this villager will die. Nope, this villager will survive. And it appears that the BacT will be safe finally. And this is the moment when he can start turning this around. He has 9 villagers lead right now. He will be able to deny this dock. Like, the dock is gonna go up, but you can see that BacT might not spot it. It's a bit of a sloppy scouting here on the border. He should patrol the shorelines instead of actually going deeper, because now he's not seeing if his opponent is redocking, and at this point, Lix going for the fire galleys, he needs to go for that. Normally, you could just risk going for demos, sinking multiple fishing ships, because you still have trouble getting water control back, so you just want to snipe down the fishing ship of your opponent. However, since these are Japanese fishing ships, sinking them with demos is quite challenging, almost impossible, so trying to get the water control back is definitely an okay idea, I would say, for Lix, and normally this is not supposed to work, and I don't like how he's revealing his intentions by popping out a single fire galley over here, because now BacT is like, okay, so you have a dock somewhere, and just watch how BacT is gonna start looking for that dock right in the moment he sees this fire galley popping out. He did patrol the shoreline over here, somewhat sloppy, like I said, from BacT, not to patrol this shoreline at all, when he probably could have suspected that his opponent was trying to dock over there. Seeing the villager, seeing the dock, and this market will also be denied, further hurting the eco of Lix, who will need to either delete this market or send out a villager to finish it. Apparently, he's gonna take the fight over here with his archers, +1 on both players, and I think, right now, like I said, having an eco fight here is perfect. For BacT, he does have a significant eco lead right now, adding a second range. So, probably crossbowmen will be the unit composition that he's going to be utilizing. And now that dock has been found, we will see BacT getting that dock down very soon. He still has a confident 10 eco lead, and he's getting very close to click up to Castle Age. If he balances out his eco a tiny bit, he's going to be more than ready to click up in like a minute or so. Meanwhile, for Lix, let's take a look at his eco numbers. It's not horrible, but he is still far away from clicking up to Castle Age, I would say. So, let's see. Archers on the right side, they will have no chance of getting inside over here. There's nothing on which they can actually do damage for. BacT with the market up, like I said, this will allow him to balance out his eco, as he used up quite a decent amount of his gold to get some crossbowmen out. Or well, they're just archers right now, but they will be crossbowmen very soon. The dock here will probably get cleaned up, just a single fire galley inside for Lix, as apparently he's trying to snap some fishing ships with this weak fire galley, but will get cleaned up by BacT as well. BacT will have perfect vision on the center of the map, so there is no chance that Lix can actually walk out over here. And like I said, you position one dock over here on the deeper region of your fish, so your fish have to travel less from these distant fishes to these docks. I wouldn't even be surprised to see BacT dropping a dock over here as well. sometime, maybe even here in later stages of the game if you get there. Anyways, with the archers around, we have Lix going into Castle Age faster though. This is something I just point out. I'm surprised on that, although that is probably because BacT, instead of buying himself up to Castle Age using the excess gold that he has had, popped out a bit more archers. So yes, he's gonna be approximately a minute behind in Castle Age time, however his military is gonna be much more convincing, his eco is significantly better with 15 villagers lead. Another redocking attempt from Lix though, and remember, being faster to Castle Age means that he will have the war gate upgrade faster, and if he can pop out a few fire ships over here, he might be able to sink the entire fleet of BacT over here, including the fishing ships. That could be a big punch to the eco of his opponent. Now the problem for Lix is something I want to show in a matter of seconds. Lix is playing wide open. So once those crossbows arrive over here, Lix is gonna be so dead. Normally I would say Lix is in an okay-ish position if he was fully walled. However, considering that he has very little chance of actually protecting his eco from those crossbows soon to arrive, I would say this is just not the fight that he wants to take. He does have a few skirmishers trying to clean this up, but right now, the name of the game for BacT, just walk on the ward. Because the fire galleys will protect your archers from those skirmishers, and you want to get on up to the crossbow upgrade. Meanwhile, I do see the bloodlines upgrade being researched by BacT, and that probably means that we will see knights coming in here to clean up the skirmishers. On the other side of things, for Lix, he's just going pure skirms, going for early elite skirmishers, so indeed, the decision to go for knights will pay off very, very well over here. And let's see, where did those crossbowmen go? They are just gonna walk back, so BacT is gonna play very passive here. He probably knows he has border control and probably has better eco than his opponent, and we'll find those docks before the war gate upgrade would hit for Lix here. This is an okay fight for Lix because the timing of that is quite nice. He now has fire ships and BacT just has fire galleys. BacT will need to pull back, get the war gate upgrade ASAP. That is gonna be one of the key things for him. And if he can protect his fishing eco, he's gonna be in a winning position in this game. No crossbowman upgrade coming up as of yet. Instead, he's going for scaleboarding and double stable knights. Like I said, the other option for BacT is to move into the base of Lix over here and start killing villagers. This TC is going to be a nice defensive position, but for now, let's take a look at the fishing eco, and BacT is a lot of fish. BacT has 14 fish, which is basically the eco difference in between the two players. If he loses all of those fishing eco, he's going to be very, very dead in eco, or at least Lix is going to be able to catch up. There's going to be the fire ships coming in though, and that is going to be a big demo shot. Indeed, big demo shot. Now is the time for BacT to start sending out his fire ships to clean this up and yet again solidify his hold on the border. There is going to be one fire ship going down. At least Lix is able to snap down some fishing ships from BacT, and still there is one fire ship lurking for some ship picks here. If BacT is not cautious, he could lose a lot of fishing eco to that. But apparently we also have a push here in the middle coming up from the crossbows. This defensive TC though could make situation very good for Lix, because now he will have all of his critical resources protected. And we transition to a stage of the game when gold count will matter at some time, so both players are consuming their gold inside their bases, and the excess gold on the map will be found in the middle, and that is right now controlled by BacT, so he's supposed to have the advantage once we go to super late game. For now, it is just a dance party in between the skirmishers and the crossbows, but I'm actually surprised that BacT is not putting enough focus on this wood line and the berries, which he clearly sees. He might think the berries are gone, but he knows that there's a wood line over there, so he could just be a bit more aggressive, stand over here with the crossbows, maybe get a few villager picks. Meanwhile, like I said, there is going to be one fire ship that could actually sink some ships here from Lix. But meanwhile, Lix is going to lose his docks yet again. And the defensive castle, very aggressive defensive castle, but against a tower that does not have any villagers or anything garrisoned inside, you can probably just force build this one unless you lose a villager over here, which is a weak HP one. But this means that BacT will claim his gold control back. And with the crossbows moving in, he's gonna be able to start popping off villagers from Lix. However, let's not forget, BacT was playing 2 town centers for quite a significant amount of time, adding TC number 3 just now. And meanwhile, Lix was booming on 3 town centers for quite a significant amount of time, meaning that Lix has caught up in villager counts quite nicely. And still, BacT has a decent fishing eco. Like I said, docks around at some positions would be very, very important for BacT to be efficient with his fights. There is a big mango shot, and the mango gets sniped down by the archers here. Knights cleaning up the skirmishers, and apparently this is gonna be enough for BacT to do some damage to his opponent. Monk goes down, no conversions on Knights. This Knight is just chilling right now over here, so I would really love to see this guy actually doing something. At least a few crossbows will stay alive for BacT, even though the numbers are not impressive. And like I said, Lix has caught up in terms of eco numbers, so this game is getting more and more balanced as we progress into this one. Still, like I said, the middle island control and the warrior control could give a big advantage to the BacT in the long run, but so far his push on the base of Lix wasn't very convincing in my point of view. Right now Knight's picking off one skirmish over there but losing a lot of HP to the TC fire. Lix will have some idle time, but like I said, the two players have comparable ecos right now. Now, of course, Lix will be forced to do some very heavy farming over here because he has no fish control. Meanwhile, for BacT, it's just basically very little fishing effort. He didn't even take his berries. So, yeah, he could just pick those berries as well. Doesn't need a lot of farming. Instead, he's focusing on the fishing here. Needs to patrol the shorelines constantly with the fire ships to make sure that he does not get redogged. And now, two things can happen to Lix. Try to outboom his opponent on land, try to redock and take war back, or just try to focus on land. And apparently, Lix... GG's out of this one? What? What? What happened over here? Now, the only reason why you would actually have a GG here from Lix is because of the score. You indeed are behind in score, but take a look at the villager counts. Dead even, I would say. You have a safe base, you didn't lose a bunch of villagers. Of course you lost your forward over here, but I would say Lix was pretty much in this game and he surrendered very easily. I'm not saying that Lix could have won this game, I'm saying that this is still an early GG, a super early GG, one of the most early GGs that I've ever seen, to be honest. So, eco numbers, as you can see, fairly comparable for the two players. Lix less on gold, but villager counts, fairly even. I don't think that Lix was in a that bad position to justify for a GG this early. Probably looked at the score and said, oh yeah, I have no chance of winning this one. But anyways, this was game number 5, and adding a score to BacT over here, we will have game number 6 coming up. Game number 6, as I welcome you to this matchup. Map is gonna be El Dorado. This is the home map. Let me check the draft. This is the home map of Lix, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, the previous game's loser. And right side, it's gonna be BacT in blue. Left side is gonna be Lix in Chinese as red. And Lix is using Indians over here. Now, Indian fishing bonus is supposed to apply to this deep fish. And two things to talk about in this scenario. Number one, Lix did not use slabs on slopes. And I still believe that slabs are better on slopes. Number two, Chinese are global banned. So I think it was BacT who banned Chinese in here. And, well, BacT with the Chinese ban means that you cannot pick probably the best civilization for this game. Now, seeing what you're saying on chat, BacT's map broken. Ooh, this is interesting. So normally, you start off with this pond over here and you're fairly far from the middle, but BacT is having an insanely big advantage over here as he's spinning Mayans. In fact, he's right in the middle, right next to the gold and stone available. This is not how this is supposed to look like, and now we are confirmed that these land patches are indeed showing the center of the map, or center of the map here with gold and stone, and not the opponent's position. But anyways, what I wanted to point out here is that the middle of the map is always visible, so much so that Lix can actually see these little shallow style here from BacT's base, so he knows exactly where BacT is. BacT is super close to this middle. This completely changes the whole way this map is actually played out, because BacT does not need to put a big focus on this gold or this stone. These are the starting golds and stones for his, just like the ones from Lix are positioned here and here. But in this way, BacT is gonna be able to get map control super easily for himself, and Lix, very, very bad map for him, to be honest, if you compare it to the one from BacT. He's super far away from the middle, and honestly, I'm not sure what BacT is planning over here. Probably you cannot pull off a fast castle plumed archers play, because you will have to focus on the war on the outside, so for fire galleys. But I feel like something like a man-at-arms archers play, or maybe even rush into archers from BacT, seems like something I could justify. Even though drush play probably isn't really smart if you have to walk through the middle, because it will be spotted by your opponent anyways. But there is gonna be the first dock coming up from Lix. Luckily, though, for him, he's close to the edge of the map, so he can drop that dock easily. It's a bit more tricky for BacT, who has to walk a bit more to do that. He's gonna wall off the left side over here quite aggressively. Wouldn't be surprised to see a wall off over here as well. Completely securing this corner for himself alongside that primary gold over there. And one thing we did not talk about, Indian fishing bonus. If you are doing Indian fishing bonus though, why are you actually luring in the boar? You should take the fish first then, right? But anyways, we will have some fairly conservative walls here from Lix, surrendering the stone to his opponent. And he will probably focus on protecting the gold. Still, protecting this is very hard, because you can't wall on these shallows. So you have to wall something like this, this, and this. Or this, and all the way around to protect this gold. So it's not an easy wall off here from Lix to play around with. Meanwhile, for BacT, he does have Loom with Mayans, so he can go for a very aggressive walling. That's one of the advantages of playing Mayans, because you have the early Loom built into your build orders, so you can go for any kind of walling without the danger of losing your villager. And meanwhile, for Lix, we are gonna have multiple fishing ships popping out here. I think he's a bit earlier with the fishing ships compared to BacT, but the difference is not significant in between the two players. And I do see this villager. I think this villager was just walking back from the dock and ended up picking up some food from this deer. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but what is this villager trying to do here? Oh no. He's going back to this deer, but not sure what happened to that villager trying to kill another animal. Apparently, BacT is gonna put a big focus on using those huntables here. That is gonna be a fast food source for him. But Lix, thanks to the help of Indian fishing bonus, he's gonna click up to feudal age fairly fast, standard-ish 22 eco up. But as you can see, BacT is click up later, and that makes me believe that he is probably... Is he planning to go for a fast castle approach over here? He's walling off his far left, adding 3 fishing ships, adding 4. If you add 4 fishing ships, you probably want to fight for war, because otherwise you will just lose that investment. But he's just queuing up more and more villagers, and that just makes me believe that this is going to be a fast castle play from him. Now, this is a tricky one. If he had a safe stone, I would say fast castle, doomed archer play might actually even happen, because you can drop a super safe castle somewhere around over here that probably secures most of the middle for you very easily. But ends up clicking up at 27 eco. This feels like a fast castle play to me, to be honest. We'll have 4 on gold. Fast castle crossbows. This is way too late for galley opening. This is just way too late. Look at that. Lix is already gonna be in feudal age. So by the time BacT gets up to feudal age, Lix will probably have like 2 fire galleys out already. Apparently we only see 1 dock coming up from Lix, and I do see militias and villagers moving forward. We're towering on the wood line. I think this is the moment when Lix realized, hey, my opponent is going for what is apparently a fast castle play here. Probably fast castle crossbows. And then get the map control in the middle, start mining stone. And the answer to that is going to be a tower. BacT will probably have no vision on that tower right now. Indeed, that is going to be the case. He sees the militias coming in here. But this tower could be beautiful because it allows you to bash your way through these walls and pushes away basically the entire wood eco of BacT, which is going to force him to make an additional lumber camp at the back. Right now, man-at-arms coming in here as well, so man-at-arms towers will be the name of the game. And if you can get to this gold mine, you are more than happy with your tower approach. So there is not a lot of gold to work with. Right now it's more about denying the wood line, but I think the next step is going towards that gold mine. For Lix, he sees the gold mine, he knows that this is basically the only gold that is takeable for his opponent if he's he wants to go for the archers or the fast castle approach. And I want to go back to one thing I said previously. The middle is always revealed. So it's not like with Gold Rush that, oh yeah, if you lose this gold, your opponent is just gonna sneak up some villagers in the middle. So at this point, Lix is like, okay, if I can get to this gold mine, I will know if my opponent is mining gold at all, because you will always see the middle, so there is no way BacT can sneak out villagers over there. Apparently, Lix is gonna seize his offensive here on the BacT's base, and we'll just end up going for some mining in the middle. I wonder if this is gonna be for stone or not. He doesn't have any villagers on stone, so I do assume this is gonna be for additional towers very, very soon. And he's gonna start adding fire galleys. He does have the first one arriving just now, but this is where it gets a bit more problematic for BacT, who is starting to add eagles in this one. Is eagles the real plan over here? Problem is that he right now doesn't have anything to fight against those fire galleys with, and once Lix sees the dock, he's gonna be able to start sinking those fishing ships. And even if he cannot kill the fishing ships, idling them is already a decent achievement. And you indeed see multiple eagles being added alongside the archers in this one. This is a bit chaotic, and I'm actually surprised that Lix is not taking out this dock. Maybe he did not see these ships. Oh man, that's so sloppy from Lix. He could have seen those fishing ships if he just right-clicks over here. His ship attacked the dock, but he was like, oh yeah, my opponent is probably fishing in the corner or something like that. But nope, the ships are right here, he just didn't notice them. Second fire galley coming up, and this is the time when Lix is probably gonna turn back saying, hey, he has to be over here. And there is gonna be a tower coming up from BacT. Considering that he's super, super close to the middle, it's very easy for him to get gold and stone control. And with that, he's able to push away the forces of Lix over here. Lix gets some map control here in the middle. And with that, this is a beautiful tower. This is a much better tower than what BacT has, by the way. What this means is that Lix will be able to lock down all minerals available in the middle for BacT. Meanwhile, for BacT, he cannot actually push away Lix from the stone or gold available. So Lix is going to replace his mining camp with a new one here in the north. Probably will mine stone, even though if he wants to mine stone, this is probably not the best mining camp to play around with. But for gold, it's quite nice. And yeah, there is still no gold or stone available here in the middle for BacT. However, BacT is close to pick up the castle age, and he could decide by mining that stone and dropping a castle in the middle. That could be an idea, or just go for the aggressive approach, go for a few archers and eagles. Meanwhile, I'm so tilted at Lix not seeing those fishing ships. If he kills those guys a bit earlier, then this could have been much better for him. Now it's gonna be BacT also popping out his fire galley. 2 against 1 is the count for Lix. So if he does realize that there is actually combat going on here, then he would be just able to sink this one. Not a great play from Lix that he's focusing on the fishing ships, because now he's losing his military. In fact, BacT might be able to just protect his fishing eco with a single fire galley against 2. Hopefully a big misplay there from Lix. Of course, Lix is probably focusing on different manners over here, trying to protect his base against those armies, but this was a horrible misplay there from Lix. First, not noticing the fishing ships, and second, the fact that he did not engage the fire galley here. So the thing is that I did talk to Dogao about war combat, who's also an expert player, and he always said that the only time you actually attack the fishing ships of your opponent is if you know you cannot win a war. Because then sinking the fishing eco is your only option. However, if you know you can win war, or you are kind of even with your opponent, you want to destroy his ships. Because if you destroy the fire galleys here from BacT, you will still have the freedom to kill his fishing eco. Meanwhile, you just lost 2 of your fire galleys for basically 180% damaged fire galley. So not a great decision there from Lix. I think he was focusing on something different, but still, that isn't going to be a cause of concern. Also, an interesting decision from Lix going into the skirmishers here. He was probably afraid of the archers, but he should have suspected an eagle switch coming up from BacT, and BacT is playing more and more aggressive over here. I'm starting to like his position more and more, despite the fact that his early approach wasn't convincing to me, but with a siege workshop, he's gonna be able to mangle down this tower, push away Lix from that, and with 11 on stone, he's gonna drop a castle in the middle. And meanwhile, Lix slowly eating up his own gold. He has like 600 gold left, and a well-positioned and well-timed castle in the middle can win you a game. That's the thing. If you can get a castle up over here, and Lix has no tools to actually siege that, then there is not much that Lix can do in this one. For now, he's just gonna try to delay BacT's approach in the middle, but with the mangonel coming up, like I said, you can take down these towers fairly easily. And you already have Eagle Warriors from BacT, so I do assume that Lix will have to start mixing in camos once he reaches Imperial, but he has a lot of idle time on his TC right now. And BacT already has a fire galley moving up on the river, and since Lix doesn't have any fire galley available, we could just see all of these fishing ships going down very fast. Doesn't appear to be great from Lix, I gotta say. He does have a 4 eco lead, but he hasn't even clicked up to Castle. Okay, now he's going up and adding a few men-at-arms. Is he trying to fight this with longswordsmen? It will not work. Longswords will not work because then BacT can just switch back into crossbows. So I think the only unit that can work here is Indian Camels. Indian Camels do get extra pierce armor, so they're actually decent against archers here as well. Of course, until you are not in Castle Age, you will not have Camels. This is not a great one though from BacT. He did send this ship in with the patrol mode, and for this reason the ship stops to destroy these buildings instead of actually moving to the fishing eco of Lix, so he could have done more damage. There is gonna be the castle, a bit too aggressive to my taste, to be honest, because there is archers in this tower, and there is one villager going down. Like I said, a bit too aggressive. I would have liked to see this Mangonel trying to take down this tower first before you actually try this. I still think that BacT will probably be able to build this one up, but he is risking the life of so many villagers over here for a reason that is just unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary to risk the life of your villagers like this. So many villagers exposed, could die to the men-at-arms over here, and you could have waited with this castle a tiny bit. You see? Now he has to evacuate his villagers. If he loses 5 villagers in the process, this castle is not worth it. Still, he's gonna have a lot of map control, but now he's losing a bunch of villagers in this one, 93%. He's gonna move in towards the base of BacT, or from Lix, but realistically speaking, this Mangonel would have been put to a better use if he just mangles down maybe just this tower. Because this one has archers inside, it's a bit messy to take this down, as we're gonna have villagers rushing out to force build this one. Oh man, quite a lot of villagers died to make this castle. Of course the castle goes up, but now BacT is 37 eco compared to 42, so wasn't really cost efficient there, and I feel like if a Mangonel just takes this tower down, which is a fairly exposed one, and there is no archers garrisoned inside or anything, I think it could have been easier to just mangle it down and build it from this side. Could have been very easy. Anyways, now we're gonna have the plumed archers coming in here. If BacT pays attention, he could snipe a villager or two here, but he does not, so it's gonna be fine right now for Lix. And now BacT is sending in the fire galleys. Lix has nothing on war, so 2 fire galleys can sink his entire fishing eco, equaling the ecos completely. Meanwhile, more and more plumed archers are coming in, and this is where it gets rough. For Lix, he's running out of gold. He will need to get to this gold mine over here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a castle being dropped. And this is the moment when you will have to consider... Yeah, the other option is to take that stone, but I do assume that Lix wants to be very aggressive. It's gonna be a town center, and I'm not a major fan of that, because Mangonels can contest town centers. You can potentially drop a tower over here if you're BacT. In fact, what BacT should be focusing on is taking down this tower over here. Group archers already popping out to hit Lix's eco here. Villagers will be denied from constructing that town center. And meanwhile, there is also some archers and eagles harassing the eco of Lix over here. Fishing ships still alive because this fire galley is just attacking the dock right now. But I would think that for BacT, if he lands a tower over here in the middle, he can basically deny all accessible resources, or at least all accessible minerals from his opponent here. There is gonna be the man-at-arms going down super fast. And a few more villagers will probably follow. I do see a few camels coming in from BacT, so I would say that, or from Lix. I would say for BacT, pikemen could definitely be something to consider here alongside the plumed archers. You don't need a lot of them. Other option is monks. Monks will probably be better in early Castle Age in the case of low numbers of camels. I like how he's utilizing these fairly weak archers now. They don't really have a big use, but if you can harass the wood line with them a tiny bit, that's perfect. Camel will probably clean them up though. Apparently, BacT's war aggression is destroyed by a single fire galley popping out, so the fishing eco is going to be still safe. But with Lix unable to get his TC up in the middle, yet again, I could have seen him maybe being able to move inside, but now that I see this plumed archer blob, I see why he GG'd out of this one. This is what we call 20 dead villagers. All of them exposed here, bunch of plumed archers running inside, and BacT is turning this around. 3-3 BacT versus Lix. The formula is very simple. Game number 7 upcoming right now. Whoever wins game number 7 will go into the main event of this $50,000 prize pool event. I think it's more than 50,000 now, but I don't really keep track of the exact figures regarding that. But still, I think that it's a very big prize money event. Both of these players would deserve it. Lix has played very good in the first few games, but BacT is slowly rebounding, and we will go into game number 7 over here. Apparently, the map is gonna be ravines, and we will have Lix with Mongols available over here. So this is where it is gonna backfire for BacT that he has used Mongols on Bay. Mongols on base is very nice, but on ravines, they can also have a very good advantage from the hunting bonus that they do possess. On the other side, BacT is using Khmer. The reason why this is interesting is because we definitely had Khmer banned out, according to the draft, so I think they completely forgot about that or something like that. We will never know. I'll probably ask Robo what happened with that. No question on the caster Discord regarding that, so I have no idea what happened there to Khmer ban, but well, both players use that in the series, so I think it's fine. So anyways, to no one's surprise, we'll have Lix pushing in the deer towards his TC. You don't need to push those in very fast though, that's the thing. So you want to make sure that you don't kill a lot of animals at the same time. So yeah, I think this is a bit too fast-paced for pushing in those deer. And apparently, BacT is going very aggressive with this scouting over here. I assume he wants to steal some geese from his opponent. This is what we call geese, because, you know, goose is the single form and geese is the plural form. This could have been a beautiful lumber camp for Lix if he manages to keep that villager in between the trees and the lumber camp over there. Still a good lumber camp, but could have been better if he fits a villager inside over there. Anyways, on ravines, you will have this little hill right next to this valley over here. You got a lot of wood lines, so fairly easy to wall map, and you also have a bunch of outposts to start off with. So you don't really have to bother with the scouting early on. You can just utilize your scout to push deer towards your TC. And that is going to be the case for both players. They are not even luring in boars. In fact, I'm not even sure if there is boars in this map. There might not be boars, to be honest. Still, there is a lot of hunt available for Mongols, so I do assume that's going to be a fairly fast up from our Mongol player here. Probably something like 18 pop is reasonable, even I think 19 pop is a bit more safe, so I would say 19 pop up is going to be a bit more reasonable for Lix going for scouts. On the other side for BacT, this is when he could think about going for a pure scouts build without barracks. But I still don't like it. So, just like in game number 1, Khmer have the option to go for a stable without barracks. But I feel like going into Scouts Wars without Spearman is not the best way of doing things. So for that reason, I would still love to see BacT adding Spearman. But I feel like with the Khmer that he's utilizing, I am 99% sure he will just go for a pure Scouts build over here. Anyways. Lix getting close to clicking up the feudal age over here. Will add villagers on the berries over there. He's not even focusing a tiny bit to walling off his base right now, if you take a look at that. Meanwhile, for BacT, he's very aggressive with his walls. Could he be considering a fast castle play here, I wonder? If he walls himself off, it could be a good one. You know that Mongols will probably go for a early scouts play. So if you wall yourself off early, then you can probably pull off a scouts play or a fast castle play. You are still missing walls on the right side though. And for BacT, he's sending out the villager to build probably a house over there. That is going to be the plan. And then wall here, wall here. He's committing a lot of villagers to walling. And that makes me wonder, like I said, if this is going to be for scouts or if this is going to be for fast castle. When you commit this many villagers to villager, or yeah, when you commit this many villagers to walling, you definitely are thinking about fast castle instead of feudal age aggression, because if you want feudal age aggression, you want to click up to feudal age faster. But apparently, BacT is gonna go for the click up at 20 pop. He's gonna go for a 20 pop scouts build here. Surprising, definitely surprising to see that he's walling this aggressive. He probably is afraid of the earlier scouts of his opponent, but this is a very aggressive walling effort. And Lix is already going up to get the scouts here. So the reason why I dislike this one is because, yes, you will be fully walled. So it's unlikely that Lix can do any damage to you. Although this scout could pick off this villager if... oh, nope. Maybe yes. Maybe yes, indeed. For now, BacT is gonna engage that scout, and this is gonna be good for Lix, because Lix will have the feudal age scout available, and indeed, now BacT is in the danger of losing one villager over here. This could be beautiful once scouts and additional villagers coming in to help, but it is not something that matters. BacT loses a villager in a critical time. All these walls are worth nothing if you lose a villager down here. Oh man, this is gonna hurt BacT so hard. So what I want to point out is that you will be much later into a feudal age, and BacT is gonna go for a fast castle here. I thought he cancelled Feudal Age, but nope, after making Loom, he's gonna keep adding villagers. He's fully walled, now he's gonna be like, okay, I lost a villager, I have no chance of engaging this one in Feudal Age. I think this is what he should have started with. Because against the scout aggression, you can probably defend yourself well, unless your opponent starts switching into archers. This is the moment when Lix realizes, hey, my opponent is going for a fast castle play here, there's the tower coming in, and Lix losing a villager, we will have a fast castle play from him. So when you commit that many villagers to walling, I don't think it's a right idea to go for Feudal Age aggression, because if you want to Feudal Age aggression, you want to be up to Feudal Age faster and pumping out units as fast as possible. If you commit like 5 villagers to walling, then that's gonna be slow. Anyways, tower is coming up over here, and BacT will start walling himself off. Now, I would like to point out that in the previous game we also did see Lix being aggressive with his towers, and that just didn't work out. Now, there is multiple chances for Lix to get through this wall here, by the way. One chance, bash these walls down. Chance number 2, you could build a lumber camp over here and chop this down. This is also an option. But whatever you do, BacT will be able to see it, because there is some outposts around. So, for this reason, I am saying that Lix, his best chance is to bash his way through the walls. And the formula is supposed to be very simple. If Lix is able to get into the eco of BacT here and start killing damage, Lix could just go into Hidden Cup. If BacT is able to pull off a fast castle here, which seems likely, then there is gonna be a big advantage coming up for him. Score will equalize once we see BacT reaching Feudal Age very soon. That is not absolutely correct with the Khmer. Yes, BacT has picked a banned civilization, but Lix was the one who banned Khmer. And in game number 1, Lix already picked Khmer, so it was already an issue. So in game number 1, they screwed up something with the draft or something like that. So probably there was an agreement that they can pick Khmer than both of them. So in game number 1, there was Lix picking Khmer, despite the fact that he definitely banned that out. Anyways, this is what I was referencing to when I said that you can definitely protect yourself against the scout's aggression. You can always second layer these walls unless there is a follow-up tower that denies the second layering. But since Lix has 0 villagers committed to stone, he will not be able to add additional towers, and this is looking exceptionally good for BacT here. Just think about this. Right now these scouts cannot do any damage. Lix has used up his stone that he was supposed to be utilizing to add additional town centers in Castle Age. Not mining any more stone with multiple people, just 1 villager on stone, so that is going to be enough for town centers maybe. And BacT is going to be up to Castle Age. He will probably drop a stable right away and start sending out knights, and you don't have any ways to stop your knights. Meanwhile for Lix, his base is wide open. Once knights arrives here, it's gonna be a horrible situation for Lix, I would say. So, at this point, I love what BacT has done here and how BacT has reacted to what Lix was trying to do over here. Lost 1 villager, that's a big loss. However, this fast castle is going to be super fast because he doesn't even need a blacksmith or a market to use that. Now, needs to make sure that that wall is actually constructed. But, oh, this power side? This power side is okay. It's fine. So, the thing is, like I said, knights will be the name of the game very soon here for BacT. What I dislike about this is that he still hasn't started constructing a stable. Is he just planning to boom here? Or what? Don't tell me BacT just wants to boom. Adds 1 town center. And he wants to add the second one. Oh man, I think he's giving away his best opportunity going for a fast castle boom play here. Because in late game I do prefer Mongols compared to Khmer in this one. And I feel like if he just starts sending out knights, even though Khmer knights are not exceptionally good, Lix is wide open. Maybe BacT thinks that Lix was walled off and knights wouldn't achieve anything. There is a chance for that, but he can clearly see that Lix is open, and just by sending in a few knights, that's not something that Lix can stop. Lix can add spearmen, but spearmen are not exceptionally good against knights in this one. But apparently, BacT decides by a pure boom over here. Interesting decision, but I feel like this allows Lix to climb back into the game. if BacT loses this one, this could be one of the decisions that can be questioned. Of course, this could still be a good decision because he's gonna be up to Castle Age faster, so he can pop out 3 town centers and more villagers faster, so he should be able to outboom Lixo in this situation. But I feel like he had the momentum. If he makes a stable and starts massing knights and just sending them one by one, he can start killing villagers here. Now, since BacT is playing this passive and Lix has 8 on gold, you know what this has to mean. This has to mean a forward castle over here from Lix, and like I said, you can do 2 things if you're later into Castle Age and you know your opponent is booming. You can either do 4 town centers and try to outboom him, or you have to play aggressive, and I feel like a forward siege workshop and a forward castle either here or here could be a decent idea as well. Lix will probably spot that town center, but I feel like probably this is the best spot for you to try and attack at if you are Lix, or just castle job that TC. But whatever you do, you gotta realize that BacT has no military, and apparently it's gonna be a town center first, but with still 4 villagers left on stone, this is probably gonna be a castle very, very soon. For now, it's gonna be 2 town centers being added by Lix, who is behind by 8 villagers as of yet. Will probably be a bit more. And I do see a monastery being dropped. Interesting, so he does suspect something like knights or elephants to come up from his opponent. But BacT, in reality, is just going for full boom. Now BacT will have to expand a tiny bit, and considering that Lix is just going for a 3 town center boom himself, I think this is actually a better scenario for BacT now, because Lix is not punishing BacT for playing this passive. Of course, Lix knows exactly that he has map control. He did pick off the scout of his opponent earlier, and that means that if he did pick off his opponent's scout earlier, that means that he can pick up the relics without being in danger of his opponent's scout snapping him down. And in fact, Lix decided by the second option I said, he's gonna go for a 4th town center boom to try and catch up with villager counts compared to his opponent. He's 12 villagers behind right now. If he can catch up in villager numbers, that's actually quite nice, but I'm still afraid from him a tiny bit. Meanwhile, I do see a mangonel coming up here from BacT. He probably just wants to destroy that tower to make sure that he can get this gold mine very safe, or just start leaving his base. But we'll add a layer of houses to his walls, so he's gonna have a lot of map control at the back of his base, which is gonna be very important in the run. And I do assume that Lix, like I said, will start picking up relics. He has some scouts scattered around the map, trying to look for monks. Trying to look for monks. And from what you see, T90 stream, banned civs were Aztecs and Chinese. I am 90% sure that Robo has given me a draft in which there were Khmer. Yes. Then the draft that is given out to casters is the wrong one. I'm gonna show you, okay? So that we can actually just remove all questions regarding this one. I think this is this one. Yep, see? I'm gonna show that. This is what Robo gave us. So it's not me being dumb with Khmer. It clearly says Lix has banned Khmer. It's fine, if you're just saying what you saw. I'm just saying that it's not me screwing something up either. It's just the wrong draft given out to casters then. So, yeah, thanks for letting me know that. So we had Aztecs ban. Makes sense. But I was like, yeah, maybe they did screw up the drafting or something like that, but apparently it was just the wrong draft given out to the casters. Whatever, it doesn't really matter anymore, to be honest. So, castle coming up over here on the base of Lix. Oh yeah, of course, no problems with that one. I didn't even take it as a blame. I'm just saying that I was surprised that they were using Khmer in this one, when it was supposed to be banned, but then it appears to be just wrong spreadsheet or something like that. It happens. Not a big issue. Anyways, villager counts. BacT still has 73 to 63 lead, despite the fact that he is just on 3 town centers compared to 4 from Lix. Lix is getting housed here very hard, and that is a big issue for him. So when you go for a 4 town centers boom, oh boy, he's making houses 1 villagers over here, but when you go for a 4 town centers boom, you want to click up. or you want to catch up in villager counts. And you cannot do it when you're housed. So basically, despite the fact that Lix had more town centers than his opponent, he's still 12 villagers behind, which is not a good one. Not a good one at all, to be honest. In fact, he's gonna add TC number 5. He should have caught up by villager counts by quite a bit. And now it's gonna be BacT clicking up to Imperial himself, adding ranges. Makes me believe we are gonna see Arbalasts coming up from BacT. He loves his Arbalasts, by the way, so BacT really is really good with the Archer micro. So the thing is, Lix still being 8 villagers behind is a bit of an issue, but there is gonna be a forward siege workshop, so at least one villager is gonna start biting the dust, and more importantly, Lix does see the Archer ranges. So he knows it's gonna be Arbalest coming. I think Arbalest is a decent option here for Khmer to fight against the Mongol Mangadai, as I do see at least a few knights being in the party to try and snipe down that Mangonol. And I think for Lix, probably the name of the game will be Onagers alongside the Mangadai. However, there is the problem. Lix, 190 food, and hasn't even clicked up to Imperial. He's super late into Imperial compared to his opponent. This is a bad one from Lix over here. He tried to outboom his opponent, but ends up still being behind in villager counts when his opponent is 70% towards Imperial and he's not even close. To be honest, he's gonna have like 5 or so relics. Let's see, 3 relics for him, 1 for BacT. But still, he's gonna be massively behind in Imperial time, and that is probably gonna be a castle over here or here. Yeah, that also works for BacT. And we are gonna have the traps coming out, and this is where it gets rough for Mongols. Mongols will need castles to make Mangadai. And I just don't see the military unit composition for Lix. He's playing way too passive in this one, I think. The problem is that he's mining stone with 2, just sent additional 6 to mine stone here. So he will have 2 castles, but one of them will probably be gone by the time he actually reaches Imperial, and this is the time when he starts to realize, oh boy, I'm in big trouble. Just 4 villagers lead, now it's 6. But he's not even close to clicking up to Imperial. BacT will have a bunch of Arbalasts, and BacT is in the doorstep of getting into the Hidden Cup main event. A player like BacT will not actually lose a game from this position. Lix going into Imperial just now, probably using this TC if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, he does. But at this point, like I said, his castles will start going down, and what is he gonna make then? He will not have the production buildings to make Mangadais. Archers will fall quite hard here to the castle. That is the hard way of finding out if there is a castle over there. But like I said, BacT will have the big advantage at starting to trap down these buildings. And meanwhile, for Lix, he's still far away. Adding Scabarding and Bloodlines makes me believe that we're gonna see Hussars coming in very early. But still, Arbalest will trade very well against those guys. And you already got a bunch of villagers going down over here as well. And ecos are absolutely even. I think the critical issue for Lix was that he got housed for quite a significant amount of time. So basically, despite the fact that he had multiple Tau centers and had more than Lix or BacT, he was just unable to outboom BacT here. And you invest into more town centers because you want to outboom your opponent. That did not happen. Another villager gets picked off. Very nice and micro there by BacT. And let's see, that Trab are setting up, starting to shell this castle here on the front line. Villagers repairing for now, but Lix evacuating this stone mine over here, going back to the other one. He's losing stone quite rapidly, and he is gonna have to stonewall this off. He will probably be successful in doing so, especially with these arbs might be missing ballistics or tumbling. But still, a lot of villagers will die to this one. And Lix, 107 villagers compared to 108. And he's dropping down in stone count. He will not be able to protect that castle against the third trebuchet that will soon arrive from BacT. The third chap is probably gonna be able to finish off that castle. And then BacT will be just having all the freedom in the world to move inside the base of Lix here. BacT can also start mixing a few halberdiers if he's afraid of the light cavalry aggression, but apparently he wants to mix in some skirmishers, thinking that there is going to be Mangadais coming his way. Still, even fully upgraded Mongol Hussars will not be able to fight against that many Arbalasts over there. Sure, Mongols do have great Hussars, but they are missing a critical Pierce Armor upgrade. Even though they have more HP, that Pierce Armor missing is hurting them quite a bit. And you don't have the numbers here for Lix, that's the real problem. Khmer don't have TR, so it makes sense. What do you mean? What is TR? I have no idea what TR is. But anyways, slowly crawling forward is BacT. I like this building positioning. So he is trying to save his traps from a potential light cavalry raid. I don't think it's tracking. Tracking would make little sense here. There's the light cast falling out on those arbs. They're a bit off position, to be honest, and now they are gonna get a Tumbring. Okay, so Khmer don't have Tumbring. We have learned something today as well. So, apparently this was a fairly easy cleanup from Lix. I'm actually surprised on that. Fairly well upgraded Hussars in decent numbers, but it is gonna be BacT coming up with the Elephantos here, so he's not gonna go for Halberdiers. Khmer Halberdiers are not exceptional, but they are enough to fight against that many light cavalry. And with chemistry also available, these arbs are also almost fully upgraded. Elephants will be a decent meat shield for BacT's army. Villager counts dead even. Meanwhile, I do see some sneaky villagers from Lix trying to mine this golden stone here on the right side. Knights from BacT though, finding a hole in the wall here from Lix. How did he even have a hole there? Oh man. Few knights could kill a lot of villagers here from Lix because he's probably focused on microing his cavalry over here. A lot of arblasts, they will be able to protect the traps here, and the trap wars will be in the favor of BacT here, trading off some HP on his own traps against the traps of his opponent. Do Mongols have a decent answer versus Elephants? Depends on numbers, but Mangudai and Scorpions is probably a decent composition. Depends on how many Elephants and depends on how many Mangudai, I would say. But normally, with appropriate micro, Mangudai is supposed to be a decent one against the Elephants, especially considering how expensive Elephants are. But like I said, depends on numbers, I would say. Anyways, some raids coming up here at Lix's eco. Lix, 133 villagers. He's trying to mass a decent force of light cavalry to fight against this one. But still, it's gonna be BacT who is massing more and more elephants here. Elephants are actually quite decent against those light cavalry. They soak up a lot of damage, and that is a meat shield for the arblasts. And when you are the one that is defending, that is not good if you have that many buffer units that you have to fight through, even though that is a bit of a mispositioning here from BacT, getting his arbs caught off guard, but now it's gonna be the elephants moving inside. More of them are coming in for BacT here. He's gonna have iron casting very soon alongside plate barning, and with this TC going down, a lot of the farming eco is gonna be in danger here for Lix. And with all of that happening, I think this is the final battle that we're gonna see over here. Fighting up here is gonna be bad for Lix as well. He has a decent amount of light cavalry alongside a bunch of monks, but those monks are dangerously off-positioned, I would say. There is 2 monks going down, 3 monks going down. I think few conversions did happen, but this is, I think 2 conversions for Lix for a price of 5 monks, and he's just absolutely getting smashed. 62 to 10 is the military count. BacT will qualify for Hidden Cup 3. And Lix very close to winning this one. He was having a 3-1 lead, and then something happened to him, maybe attrition. It's tough to tell, but I feel like he wasn't as sharp as he was in like game number 2, 3 or so. Game number 1 was very bad from Lix. I think that's really the main problem for him. So the rest of the games were actually quite okayish from him. In the previous game he had a quite bad map to play with, but game number 1 was so bad. Overall, the decisions that he has made and the way he has played that map is just not good. Gave up the Arabia game very easily to BacT over there, and that might have been enough to win that series for him. Now this is not gonna happen. He still has the eco, and the only thing that is a positive here for Lix right now is that the army of BacT is super slow, but with elite battle elephants smashing through his base, he's trying to mass oh man, elite Mangudai. I don't like this. You go for elite Mangudai when you don't even have a single Mangudai, that will just not work. So even having 3 up Mangudais without the elite upgrade is better than having 0 Mangudais with elite upgrade. So of course you will start massing Mangudai now, but this is a bit too late. Like I said, the only thing that could save Lix here right now is that the army of BacT is super slow, and Lix appears to have a bit more map control, even though BacT is gonna have a castle in this corner. I do assume BacT will start moving towards this side as well very soon, or descending at Arbalest to raid. And once this corner falls for Lix, he's gonna lose a lot of villagers in this one. Just trying to mass Magadize in the corner as a last resort for him. Problem is that unless he has major numbers here, he will not be able to win this one out. That's my problem in this. He doesn't have a lot of gold available either, so like he's gonna have all of these villagers going to gold, which is gonna be probably the most inefficient gold mining ever. But the orbs will just pick off those Magadize in low numbers. Like, you need something like 20-25 Magadize to make this work at least. But when your opponent has like 25 orbs, they will just pick off the Magadize. Castles are falling. Lix is trying hard, but this is not gonna happen. Right now, his eco on the right side is found. A lot of villagers dying very fast here from Lix, and I think this is the end for him. He has fought well, and he has had some very good games. In fact, this series was probably the best series overall from the qualifiers. However, it appears that we will have BacT as the winner of these qualifiers unless a miracle happens here. But this is really a miracle that is needed right now for Lix. Still, he has 2 castles alive, and he is holding against this one. Way more map control. Way more map control right now for BacT now. He's cleaning up the right side with a few elephants. He does have map control on the left side. Indeed, Lix has made BacT work for this. So, BacT has smashed his previous opponent. I'm not sure who his previous opponent was. I think BacT... I don't know who he played in the previous round, but I do remember that BacT absolutely destroyed that guy. Like, I remember that series. I was always saying that BacT didn't even make a single mistake. BacT played a bit more sloppy today, and Lix has had some very good moments as well. But I gotta say that overall, I'm proud of both players. Lix has shown that he's capable of putting up a competitive fight against top-level players like BacT, and BacT has shown that he does have weaknesses, so I definitely thought that he is in a top shape. I am not that convinced anymore, so if he's having trouble beating down Lix here, he's gonna have trouble with other pro players, especially if he gets a tough opponent in first round like Hera, Viper or so. Anyways, Mangada is slowly crawling forward here, and a lot of those orbs are just running into the castle fire here. Don't throw this away. BacT, oh yeah, BacT killed Paladin very easily, and Paladin is one of the better Chinese players. So, it's not like he just played a random noob in the previous round. In fact, BacT destroyed Paladin, and like I said, Paladin is like top 50 in the world, and he's a fairly experienced, decent Chinese player. Still, BacT has way more map control. Lix has 98 villagers. He's trying to make a miracle happen here, but it is so far from happening right now. This castle is apparently gonna go up, so no doubt castle over here. Lix is massing a lot of Mangadize in this one. And what is interesting for BacT now, BacT doesn't have the orbs. And this is tracing back to the question of Mangadize versus elephants. Depends on numbers. As you can see, Mangadize shreds through elephants. Mangadize even destroy rams fairly easily. And if you don't have anything against those Mangadize, they will actually punch back at you. I don't understand why BacT switched away from Arbalests. Arbalest could have been a so decent answer to these Mangadize. Of course, there is gonna be the skirms coming in right now, but if Lix pulls a comeback out of this one, this is gonna be the comeback of all comebacks. Saving this corner. There is gonna be increasing amount of skirmishers, but once we go into skirmisher wars, this is actually better for Mongols, because Mongols can go for light cavalry and Mangadi, and light cav Mangadi will always beat elephant and skirmisher, probably. Meanwhile, on the right side, this is actually a cleanup, so the main issue for Lix is that he's down to 77 villagers, and I want to point out a minor thing that we did not pay attention to in the previous games. There were at least one game, I think it was the High Tide game? Yeah, the High Tide game, when I said Lix has given that up too easily. Yeah, that's a fair point, no food for Hussars, he has a very bad eco right now. So, remember that game when I said that Lix has GG'd out very easily? Maybe if he tries a bit harder over there, he could have turned that around. So, yes, this was probably a lost game for him. He tried the impossible here. Down to 76 villagers, as he's gonna call the GG. But I still believe that there was at least one game in which he just quit too easily. It was the High Tide game. Score was indeed saying that BacT had the advantage, but in reality there was a much smaller difference in between two players. very, very close one. I think this is the type of series in which I'm just gonna say that whoever wins the entire series deserves it completely. It is gonna be BacT getting into the main event, but I gotta say, Lix was very close to getting inside and almost made it happen. Had he not lost that many villagers in this game, like let's say if he still has 100, I would say he can turn this around. But I feel like there were just so many, let's say, thrown away games from Lix. So game number 1 was somewhat disappointing from him. Overall had a bad idea on what he was trying to do over there. That was not something that you can actually do on a map like that against Franks. And the high tide game given up that easily, yep. Overall, I don't blame him for the El Dorado loss. That was a very bad map for him and very good map for BacT. But I gotta say, Lix has had some amazing games. Like what Lix pulled off on Bay on the home map of BacT was exceptionally good. So he really made BacT run for his money in this one. And with that, we will have our next qualifier for the main event of Hidden Cup 3. Final look at the resource numbers. Way better eco for BacT, of course, because he had uncontested eco for most of the game. KD was also on his side for most of the game. Lix had some more rally gold though, villager counts even for most of the time. But this dark region is what really matters. The military counts that were just far better for BacT for most of the game. As with this game, the series in between BacT and Lix does conclude. BacT qualifies for Hidden Cup 3 main event. This series definitely goes into YouTube as an entire series, so I'll probably try to upload that today. And since there might be people watching on YouTube, thanks for sticking around, and hopefully you will take a look at my Twitch as well, because this was streamed over there. And yep, here I will be continuing with the next series in this wonderful qualifiers for Hidden Cup 3. Yet again, show off the fancy banner for that. Hidden Cup 3, hosted by T90. It's gonna be a big event, and I'm super happy to be casting that one. So thanks for watching on YouTube, and here on Twitch, we will continue with Rubenstock versus Viles, a Suomi infighting.